Call the Village of Weston Board of Trustees meeting to order. All stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Roll call, please.
Maloney.
Here.
Hope Sarau.
Here.
Beck. Here. Clark is excused. Ermeling.
Here.
Olson.
Here.
And Zagami is excused.
Okay, thank you. Public comments. We got several public comments tonight. Let's start off with Jim Pincinel.
Good evening, Jim Pensinel, 502 Earl Street, Weston. If this is the first meeting you've ever attended, I appreciate the fact that you're here and getting involved in local government. Overall, Weston is a great place to live. We have low crime, we have great schools, clean water, friendly neighbors, kayak launches, and the highest growing population of roundabouts in the state. Things here are pretty good. Our village personnel are highly skilled, cross-trained with other departments, and utilize some unconventional methods of operation to minimize costs and maximize the bang for your buck as a taxpayer. Our police and fire departments are joint ventures with neighboring municipalities. This is done to share expenses and provide those departments with resources which could never be capable with several smaller departments, all while saving costs and increasing your level of service when an emergency arises. Over the last 6 years, this village has done a lot to increase transparency. We made these meetings available via Zoom. We record the meetings and post them to YouTube for reference after the fact, or just in case you weren't able to make it to that meeting and you were dying to hear the riveting conversation which we had regarding the approval of the Arbor Day proclamation. The meeting materials, agendas, and packets are posted to the village website 3 business days prior to most meetings. We've begun to dabble into a social media channel to share information. We've revamped the website and have a huge amount of information available there. We're starting to hold listening sessions with the public to gain input from them. These are all great things. None of this happened by accident. It happened because concerned citizens got involved. They said the minimum requirement by the state of Wisconsin standards is to post the notice in the newspaper. And that's not acceptable. No one gets the newspaper anymore. That standard was appropriate 100 years ago, 50 years ago, maybe even 25 years ago, but not today. Someone made the decision to exceed the minimum standards and post that meeting notice online. It was put on the village website and went on Nextdoor, on Facebook, on TikTok, and who knows where else. If we change nothing, nothing will change. If you're happy with how things are, then do nothing. But if you have a suggestion, you have ideas, you have a way to make improvements, this room is where that happens. Now, for most of the folks you see sitting here in front of me, they're not at all concerned with what I had to say. They stopped listening before I said good evening. There's a good chance that they do want to hear what you have to say. Let me give you an example. About 5 years ago, this board decided to rename Schofield Avenue. Action was taken to erase history and call it DC Everest Boulevard. Maloney, Zagami, and Ermeling, they all voted in favor of it. It was a unanimous vote. That hot button topic wasn't exactly noticed to the public very well. Lo and behold, there was zero opposition from the citizens it impacted because they didn't know it was coming. I personally knocked on the doors of folks who live on Schofield Avenue or have businesses there and encouraged them to attend the next meeting and speak out. More than 30 people showed up to the next meeting, all speaking in opposition to the approved name change. After seeing and hearing the concerns of the residents about the name change, that name changing resolution was rescinded that very same night by a unanimous vote of the board. So they do listen. That decision to make a change happened right here. It was influenced by those residents who did want change to happen. They wanted their voices to be heard. They directly impacted that change by getting involved. As good as Weston is, it's not perfect. There's still a ton of work which can be done to make improvements. That doesn't happen by itself. Each one of you have good ideas. Come here, share them, and let's use that feedback to get just a little bit better every meeting. You may think I only come here to complain or criticize. That's not at all the case. If I didn't care, I wouldn't come here at all. Why would I waste the time and effort? My hope is that by getting involved, it will encourage others to get involved and keep Weston growing into an even better place to live than it already is.
Let's see, number two, Kyra Lenzo. Alright.
I'm speaking for 44.
Okay,
Okay.
that's the Pushkowski fence here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I have to say my name and everything?
Yep. Any address for the record? Yes.
And then my address is 5512 North Birch Lane in Weston.
Mhm.
So I guess when the humane officer came over, he did tell us that it was his first time and that he didn't really know what he was doing and looking for. And then I also did a lot of research today, and nowhere in the ordinance or anywhere does it actually say that the outdoor space or the indoor space has a required size limit for for 4 dogs. And then I did take a quote, inadequate space may be indicated by evidence of debility, stress, or abnormal behavior pattern, which none of mine have, and they're all very healthy. They're all vetted for, and they're all they're all fixed except for the puppy, but he will be as soon as he gets of age. I pick up at least twice a day, which we have video proof of, because we have to have cameras. We have a metal container that we put it in. We spray an enzyme cleaner once to twice a month to kill all of the smell. When weather permits, I hook them up to my bike or walk them 5 to 7 miles a day before I go to work. Otherwise, we do mental stimulation training indoors if it's too hot out. We have had 2 cops, our family and friends, a dog trainer and our babysitter, come over, walk by the fence, walk in the fence, and say it does not smell. I've had my first husky from 8 weeks old. She's now 5. My second husky, since he was 2, his owners kept him in the kennel for 14 hours a day and all night. My third, I drove all the way down to Arizona for. She was bred 2 times before the age of 2. You aren't supposed to breed them until they're 2 years old. She had to get an emergency spay as soon as we got her back, otherwise she would have died. She was gonna be put into a kill shelter if I didn't get her, and she was very scared and skittish, so she would have been put down. Then they also had 1 puppy left, and he was very, very scared. He was also gonna be put in the kill shelter, and he wouldn't have made it. And I decided that I was going to take him also. They both are in training. They're both doing tremendously better. I use them for dog sledding. We're actually gonna be starting training in September, and we're gonna be racing in October. These dogs, I saved their lives. They've also saved mine in many ways. I would not be here without them. These dogs, like most dogs, are a part of my family. My kids absolutely adore them. So how can you determine which family member needs to go? It's an impossible choice. None of my dogs have to go into the kennel when we're gone except for the puppy because he's a chewer. But as soon as he's done, he'll be out. They're usually rarely ever home. They're usually rarely ever home alone. We always have a dog sitter, babysitter. I work second shift, my husband works first shift, so there's always somebody home with them. They have free roam 24/7. And if space is the only thing that's stopping me from getting this license, we are ready to put up what is it? I think it's a 36-foot by 18-foot fence, which would give us 648 square feet added onto the fence that we already have. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be able to keep my dogs and my family. And that's it.
Thank you. That correlates to agenda item 44. Okay, so everybody knows that. All right, number 3, site of Orchard. Am I saying that right? If I'm not saying that right, I'm sorry. Sita, I'm sorry, Sita. Okay.
604 North Birch Lane.
Okay,
I'm here to discuss part of the fancy dog license. We have been complaining about the waste and the property line is right over their fence. Their garage is partially on our fence. According to the ordinance, it has to be 6 feet. We haven't done any legal matter because their garage is on our property. And so when they are cleaning when their dogs are defecating on this patio area, everything runs over onto our property. And it clearly states on section 10.12 and 10.19 how they can't do that. And they're constantly doing that. I don't have an issue with how many animals they have. It's when it comes to the smell and defecating, and now you have the sanitation issue that's running over into our property. And we've been trying to explain that to them, and they don't want to have their dogs defecate anywhere else, which I don't think that's right. So where's the guideline for this? And what is the next step for the waste? Because there's no precise or guidelines saying that they can't do that, but it says it right here on section 10.29.
Thank you. That also correlates to item 44. Okay. For Scott Burkhart. State your name and address for the record,
Scott Borkhardt, Edgar, Wisconsin, do you need my address?
please.
217325 County Road H. Edgar,
Thank
Wisconsin.
you.
I'm here on behalf of the vendors at the farmer's market. A little history of myself. I have been doing this market for 8 years. I also helped start the market in Revolve this past year. Did a lot of legwork and I'm very familiar with how the business works. I'm a director of the gas and steam engine show. I oversee the commercial vendors, the flea market, the food, garbage, craft shed, involved in many different organizations. But on behalf of the vendors, the talk was they want to move it again. And I'm here to tell you that we really should consider leaving it where it is. I know the survey came back. People want it back where it was. Obviously, we can't do that. We don't own. You guys don't own the land. The building hasn't went up as proposed over there. So I feel we're in a great location right now. I've worked with Renee for many years. And I explained to her when we went and looked at that location, no matter what happens, wherever we ended up, the people are not going to find us for the first 6 months. Change. Nobody likes change. So it happened. I'm glad it's there. We have our vehicle, our trailer in our spot. We didn't have that access here. We took up 50 extra parking spaces for our customers. Okay, now we have all this room. And I've heard the complaints about, oh, there's no parking. Well, I've been set up there when the ball tournaments were going on. Yes, the parking lot's full. Not all day. We have plenty of room in that field for parking. And they also park on the side of the road, which I've heard numerous neighbors complain that they're not supposed to park there. They're walking on my lawn. They're doing this, they're doing that. You know what? The ball tournaments have been there for many years. No complaints of that. And we're there 5, 6 hours. And yet they're complaining about people parking and walking across the sidewalk onto their lawn. Come on. So on behalf of all the vendors, we really like the location. We really would like you to consider that as a new permanent home for us. Because if we move again, it's gonna hurt. I'm down 40% from year to date. I knew that going in because of the move. Now, I would challenge each of you to come and sit on a Saturday with any vendor you want. Talk to the people, the customers that come. There are customers still coming that didn't know we moved. They thought we just quit the market. And they live right here in this community. Strange, isn't it? How they don't know where we moved to with all the advertising we've done, with the signage we've done. What next? So again, I just hope and pray that you guys keep it where it's at. It's a great location. And there's plenty of room for growth if we want more vendors there and parking. So if you have any questions, I'll answer them, but.
Just public comment.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Let's see, number 5, Tony Case.
Good evening. My name is Tony Hayes. My address is 226305 County Road Q, Ringgold, Wisconsin, 54471. I too am here regarding farmers market. I am the owner, operator, and chief bottle washer for Danny's Girls. We've owned the business, the trailer sales part. Many of you might know us from the fair. Haven't been there for a number of years, but we've owned the business for over 20 years now. And we've been with the farmers market, I believe, 8 or 9 seasons. We were never at the market location next to the old village hall. We obviously were at the Duncan location for many years and have transitioned into the new Kennedy Park location. Some brief updates for you, and that's kind of why I came. Initially, the move was traumatic for both customers and vendors. As previously Scott has said, nobody likes change. We have seen, though, a definite picking up in business as things went along. With the roundabout construction, that was a serious, how could you phrase it? Roadblocks. They're really inconvenience, like for the farmers market. A large road closed sign on Alderson did little to facilitate people into the entrance to the market. There were many customers parking on side streets that didn't even realize they could get into the market. We've had one Saturday now with the roundabout open, and I am pleased to report we saw a dramatic increase in business. We saw many, what I would call regular customers who we had not seen all season. We had kind of worried about a few of our elderly customers, and we're glad to see a couple of them back. And they reported they just didn't want the hassle of getting there. But now with the roundabout open, they showed up. So that has been a marked improvement for the vendors. Speaking for the non-vendor community there, your team here in Weston has assembled an incredible market community. Farmers markets are no longer geeky little events that take place in small parking lots where 5 people show up, one with eggs, one with tomatoes, and a couple with good intentions and products that don't sell. They are now community events. People dress up for farmers markets. They come with bags marked farmers markets. They meet families and friends at farmers markets. Please consider the location of these markets carefully. These are now community events. They are community partnerships with your residents. They're not just our customers, they're your residents. And your residents have a say in what happens. Briefly addressing the survey. For 20 plus years, I worked for the Marathon County Health Department as their communicable disease coordinator and follow-up person. I know a lot about getting community input. Believe me, I've gotten a lot of community input as a communicable disease epidemiologist for over 20 years on the state and local level. When you ask the wrong questions, you get bad input. Why did we survey about would you like to go back? I'd like to go back to my 18-year-old body, but according to my doctor, it's not a possibility, or at least a slim one. Why did we put that question on there? It led to misleading results. Plus, the survey was ill-timed. It was done the week the roundabout closed, or the construction for roundabout closed, rather. That's ill-timing.
We're at the 3-minute mark, just so you know.
So, once again, thank you for your chance to put in your input in. Please consider all your residents' needs. I believe with the changes in traffic pattern, some of the issues on some of the side streets shall be resolving, if not already, shortly. Thank you.
All right, last one here, Steve Minell. This one is gonna be correlated with agenda item number 43. 43.
I'm requesting that the board not accept the recommendation of the planning commission meeting of August 10th and actually approve the request for rezoning and the conditional use permit that was submitted. All of our discussions with Jennifer Higgins indicated the request for LI was acceptable and offered only slightly different requirements in landscaping, building masonry than B3. The property is currently zoned B2, and we are requesting it to be changed to light industrial, which is the zoning on the lots directly to the south of our 4 acres. Our current ordinances allow for the rezoning to LI as it will be used for commercial purpose with the intention of constructing a 2-phase development for the construction of personal storage units on the site. I had spoken to Higgins in late last year when Nick at Marathon Tech was hired to assist in developing the site, and Star Environmental had completed the wetland determination. At no time did she indicate that we would have to coordinate a change in the comprehensive plan in order to obtain a change in zoning. I have not seen it in our ordinances or a state statute where it indicates that a change in zoning needs to be coordinated with the change in the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is just a plan for the village. And the use of the storage facility is an acceptable commercial service under LI with the CUP. The state has further indicated that a comprehensive plan is not a regulation and can be changed at any time, and the use of the conditional use permit may be issued, and that it does not need to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. State statutes also indicate that the village cannot deny the CUP if the applicant agrees to meet with the requirements and the conditions specified in the village ordinance or imposed by the zoning board. The state had previously passed Wisconsin Act 67 in 2017, which specifically addressed the issuance of a CUP and required substantial evidence to support a denial of a CUP. Specifies that the personal preference or speculation is not considered substantial evidence. Hagan's statements about the other storage facilities and her preference for retail development in that spot were out of line and purely shows her own personal preference based on speculation and only tainted our request. This is not substantial evidence, as she reported to the commission. This redirected the planning commission's review and led to some confusion with some commission members. Her pre-filling out of the commission's questionnaire oversteps her role in the request for the zoning change and only documents her dislike of storage facilities. This area has had a lot of money spent by the village with the hope of it being developed, but even the comprehensive plan, which now includes the Weston corridor plan, points out that development of Weston Avenue to the east of Camp Phillips will have a lot of challenges going forward. There's a substantial amount of land to be built out and rehab along Schofield Avenue, Camp Phillips, north of Highway 29. Denying my request puts a burden on me to continue to own this property and actually is a regulatory taking of my property without compensation. I want to point out that it was 19, I think it was in 18 or 19, when Barb, you and Wally put a stop to all of this nonsense on that corridor and fighting with the DNR over wetlands. These big box plans that everybody developed went away. All I'm asking is to dismiss that stuff and let me move on and put the storage facility on here. That's all that I'm asking for. Thank you.
Okay, minutes from previous meetings. Number 4, approval of July 20th, 2026 Board of Trustees meeting. Move to approve by Beck. Second by Olson. Anything on the question? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. Acknowledge reports, minutes from boards, committees, and commissions. It's your pleasure.
Motion to acknowledge 6, 7, 9, 11B, 12, 13, 14, B and 15B, sorry.
Motion to acknowledge by Ermeling.
We're gonna do quick updates.
Discussion.
Second.
Second by Lopes Serrero. On the question or discussion or updates. Anybody care to update on their committees or commissions? Luis?
Sure. On Public Works, we held a special assessment hearing about Bayberry and Concord. We're gonna have some discussion on that tonight. We also had some information presented to us about discussion or cybersecurity related to public utilities. That's kind of been a hot topic issue lately, and they just gave us some background on what the village does for that. It's greatly appreciated. And then on the planning commission, we had a discussion on the storage facility, which is going to be here tonight, and then also the animal fancier.
Thank you.
Finance and HR, we met just a few minutes ago. We welcomed 2 new members tonight, which is awesome. We're down to one open spot on that board of commission. We got a presentation from IT, just giving us an overview of the department and their budget. We briefly started discussing 2027 budget priorities, which the board will also do tonight, and just continuing conversations on the ethics function and what the committee is looking to have for that. That was kind of our nutshell.
Thank you.
CDA, first meeting I've ever attended for CDA. I think part of the discussion is how often do we meet and do we keep going on? So I think that was a 20-minute meeting. This Eclipse, we talked quite a bit about parking regulations for winter. I think we're gonna look at the sign costs and then probably get those updated so that every municipality is kind of the same, make it easy on staff. A lot about code enforcement, we had some discussion. We talked about e-bikes again. I think that'll be just keep coming up because it's fairly new. The problem is now that we have the ordinance, they can enforce it, but these kids are wearing masks and zooming behind houses, so they can't pull them over or do anything. And then I was on Safer. July, we voted for 3 new positions for staff. And then in August, that was changed to 3 staff, but spread out over the course of 2027 instead of coming in the beginning of 2027. So that is what I have.
Well, just the Parks and Recreation, the last meeting we did discuss a lot was the farmer's market and location. And our recommendation was to stay with the Kennedy Park. There was, we had some people with concerns about the fundraising again, but that was, explained quite thoroughly that, these are part-time, these are volunteers and they have other jobs and there was updates on what monies we did receive. I guess it was a very interesting meeting.
Okay, good. On the cyber security thing, that is beyond huge. How random it is and how it affects, and like the water utility you brought up, I think I saw an email today or over the weekend. But I'm just gonna say this again. I'm one person up here, but I sat out there for a half an hour and I polled another trustee and several people out there. I can't hear out there. And I thought, okay, I'm 67 years old. Maybe it's just me. Well, Alicia isn't 67 years old. Jim isn't 67. And it's hard to hear out there. And I mean, if you use like the voice I use, I'm pretty sure everybody can hear me. But some other people have a little softer voice and it's hard to hear. And it should never be hard to hear. I know we have our mics on right now. I don't know how everyone feels they can hear. Jim, is it better or same?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I know. I hear that all the time.
Anybody up here you can't hear right now?
I got it on the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, okay, but,
I can't hear, Ms.
Barb?
Emily,
okay,
and a couple of the softer ladies' voices.
Yeah. okay. So it's not something that I want you to come and correct right now.
Bring it
It's something
closer.
that I believe we have to correct forever. And whether it's a mic at every post, I kind of don't understand why we're not on this. I mean, I know we've got some numbers on this, but either we gotta fix whatever's up in that ceiling that we've already paid for, or we gotta get mics at every one. And or staff, so.
Whatever's worth.
Nope. Sorry, this is just a board. I'm sorry, okay? So anyway, that's just what we're gonna do, okay? I need that to happen. My 2 Safer and Safer, along with Lisa, and police, right? But we talked about Safer is, it's gonna be January, February, and I believe April or June for the additional 3. And on the Mountain Bay Metro Police, we've actually been meeting about 2 times a month right now. And tonight we have an agreement that the board has to say yes or no to on the financial side. Rothschild has already voted yes on all counts and signed all the paperwork. The last piece of the new police department is here tonight, and we'll see how that goes. So that's what we got. With any more discussion, any more questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Acknowledge reports from departments. 18 administrator. Anything more you want to add?
The only thing I will note is that concert off the square is tomorrow night at Kennedy Park, provided we have good weather, which call in your favors, please. So we will start at 6 o'clock and go till 8.
Okay. Good. Any questions?
The only question, you met with DC Everest, Village of Rothschild, it said long-term planning. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, it's okay.
That relates to our conversation on the aquatic center. DC Everest came and talked about what they're talking about with long-term planning and with moving those grades. In addition to that, they'd like to ask a survey question about aquatics because they want to find a future goal for what their pool looks like, and they're interested in having a question that would involve around municipalities too. So I have that in my RFC with the aquatic center discussion.
Thank you.
Any more? Thank you. Clerk? Any more, Pam?
Nothing further unless
Any
anybody has
questions?
questions.
It's reference to a report, but it's probably more for chief, just out of curiosity, those flock open records.
What was it for?
Well, it's per report, but probably chief will be the one that answers it, she forwarded me over.
Oh, I see. Gotcha. Gotcha.
What are they actually requesting for flock, just use, or what are those open records requests actually asking for?
Yeah, there was a couple different things. They wanted the contract out of it and wanted some of our protocols and stuff like that and some of the usage part.
So those are the other things. Okay, thank you.
Okay. No? Any more? Nope. Okay. 20 finance, Jessica?
I have nothing to add unless you have questions, but I do have audited financial statements. The audit firm has printed copies if anyone wants one. They're all here. Pick one up at the end of the meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions?
No, but I'll take one. Thank you.
Okay. 21 fire EMS, chief?
I have a report with nothing to add unless anybody has questions.
Any questions? 22 park and rec.
I had a report in the packet also, and I think I covered it. Aquatic Center closed for the season yesterday. Did an interview with Channel 7 for final day yesterday at 1. Just basically a couple questions they had. I mean, we did close approximately a week earlier than we typically would, just due to the early start of school in DC Everest this year. So.
A big email. I think I sent it to everybody from Dino Corvino. Apparently he attended the pool 20 plus times this year and had nothing but good to say about staff and the pool and everything else. So wants us all to think long and hard about our discussion tonight on whether we want a pool or not. And he certainly thinks we should. 20.
Sorry,
Yes.
Just a real quick question. That playground equipment that we keep talking about and holding the money aside, that $31,000.
Yeah, the inspection is scheduled for this Thursday.
Okay, I'm just getting sick of looking.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping we can get that.
Yeah,
up
no,
there.
that's all, it's all scheduled. We got the replacement parts 2 weeks ago that we needed yet. I think we're waiting for a couple yet, but all the repairs have been completed. And yeah, I'm looking forward to having it done too.
Thank you.
Thank you. 23 planning development, Jen?
I don't have any additional.
Any questions for Jen?
Any updates on the conditional use violations? There were 3 at the planning meeting.
They're going to the plan commission next month. So that was just on there to let them know that we're bringing some forward. So they'll be in September.
So we'll talk about the 3 that you had listed, what happened since that time.
Well, they'll go on the agenda. So essentially what happens is the plan commission will let them know what's going on with those 3 properties and how they are currently in violation of their conditional use. And then the plan commission will have to decide on how they want to handle it. So there's a whole process that's listed in, that's kind of like a public hearing. So this might not happen for a while, but this at least gets it before plan commission. They can talk about it, decide, sometimes we can take care of it with the applicant just by getting them in front of the plan commission and talking about it, or the plan commission will have to open it up and have, take action that way.
Thank you.
Good. Any more? 24, police, chief?
Thank you. Report in the packet. We've seen an increase on calls for service. We had 2,367 calls for the month of July. Seen an increase in traffic crashes and traffic enforcement. We had 437 traffic stops for the month. September 12th is our fundraiser. It's held at Clucks again this year. That brings in a lot of money for our K-9 program. So, and we do have 3 working K-9s on the road right now, plus 1 in the school. So any questions?
Does the school one rotate, right?
Pretty much stays at the middle school.
Middle school?
Yeah. So that's Abby's dog, which is Sully. Yep.
Okay. Any questions? 25, Public Works, Michael?
Yeah, I guess as mentioned earlier, the Alderson-Jelnick roundabout is open.
So I can't tell you how glad I am that is all completed.
So that's done before school started, which was the goal. So we met that. And then we for some of our other projects, especially like Fuller Street and some of those ones that are still hanging out from last year, I guess I do mention we still have punch list items. Fuller Street in particular, there's a fair amount of concrete curb and some sidewalk and driveway aprons. So yet this year, we'll kind of get a final tally on that. Generally, when we start seeing those failures, we don't want to create 4 to 5 lists. We kind of wait until that October timeframe so that we get everything in one full swoop. So as they come back to redo it, it's one mobilization. And then also, we're not saying we're done. And then all of a sudden, oh, wait, there's another spot here that's starting to show. So the contractor knows that's on the list. They've been tasked with trying to come up with what their solution is. It's not necessarily our job to tell them what the repair method is, but they can propose what their solution is and if we find that acceptable or not. So I guess that's where that one stands. And there's some similar items on Schofield Ave. Weston Avenue, there's still some patchwork that needs to get redone. So I guess, and then Bladel still ongoing, and Concord and Bayberry is just starting out here. WPS is working on some utility relocations, and then Bayberry and Concord to Birch Street will kind of turn into a one-way street here while the first phase is done, so they can still let the truck traffic move through there while they're working on storm sewer installation on one side of the road, and then they'll flip it. So trucks will either be on, say, the north side or south side of the road while they're getting that storm sewer work done. So
just for the record, how many roundabouts do we have? We share one with Rothschild on Weston and Alderson.
Yep.
We're gonna share one with Schofield and us.
share 2. So
Share 2.
there'll be one full one in Weston.
Yep. Okay, so then how many other? 3?
Sandy, Barbican, and then Jelnik. So
you don't count that little teeny round thing over by Rennis, right?
not really.
Did you just count it now?
No.
Okay, all right.
The one but at Barbican and Von Kennel is
Okay,
one.
all right. So 5, 6, you said, somewhere? Okay.
Yeah, and we'll have a few more over the next few years. I will say, so I was gone last week. I think Wednesday, I was in Aruba. In the country of Aruba, there are no traffic signals anymore. It's all roundabouts. And it was really interesting watching, the traffic move through there, and even just talking to some of the, me being the nerd talking to the bus drivers, and they're like, this has been great. Otherwise, we always had issues with congestion and people, but with the roundabouts, they're able to move through the island better. So it's not just us, it's people in other nations. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Technology.
Yeah, I guess touching on the boardroom audio, I actually had a meeting last week with them. Agreed that it's an issue. They also admitted that they don't put those ceiling microphones in anymore because they were underwhelmed by how well they performed. So I've asked them to put together something. And looking at the CIP is, something to do since we weren't able to fit that into operating. So
thank you.
I'll have something more on that, and I'm also going to look at a couple other vendors as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, let's see. So motion and a second to acknowledge reports from the departments. All those in favor say aye.
Nobody acknowledgement.
What?
Nobody acknowledged.
I think we just started going through.
Yep, we just started going through. There was no
I
acknowledgement.
move to acknowledge all the reports.
Searle, second by Olson. Hearing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. And I lead the charge on that. I should know that. Work product transmittals. What's your pleasure? Do you want to do 20, 29, 30 together?
I move to acknowledge items 28, 29, and 30.
Motion by Lopes Ferrero
I'll second.
and second by Beck to do 28, 29, and 30 together. Any more on the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Consent agenda 33, approve vouchers, check number 67,149 through 67,298, 67,304 through 67,344, and 90260 through 90263. It's your pleasure.
Questions to?
In a discussion, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So that's a motion by Beck. Second by? Second by Lopes, Searle. Now on the discussion, Lisa?
Sean, what are pool cards, pool credit cards? There's a couple of charges in there.
Credit card
Yeah, it
charges.
says pool C cards, pool credit cards.
I mean, we have transaction fees that we have to pay, but we collected from the people using the credit cards.
Jessica, are you looking this right now?
Just trying to find.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to find what.
I didn't write down the page. It was the first items. was the
Yeah,
first
page one
expenditure.
66 has it.
What page?
166.
It's from the Village of Rothschild.
Oh, we pay the Village of Rothschild, so we do all the administration of all the credit card payments made at the pool. And then we have to figure out what is ours and what we owe the Village of Rothschild. So we cut a check weekly.
And then the mowing question, we talked about it, or they talked about it at the finance, there were two different charges, so does it get charged for like each week, every time they come out to mow, or is? I think you talked, it was a weekly to 2-week service.
Is this
Sound
Riverside?
right, Mike?
Yeah,
Is this Riverside?
I think
River
so.
Valley, yeah,
I just
it was,
generically wrote down mowing.
Okay.
This might be ours from, we had a couple properties that needed to be mowed, so depending on what the amount is, I'm not sure.
It
No,
was
it's-
2,300 and 4,200 for like a total of
It
6,600, so I
said
think it's.
business park and mowing of utility properties, so it's just our regular mowing.
So that's just, so the 6,600 is like the normal amount, because I think May was 3,400. And I didn't look up June or July.
yeah, and we don't start mowing until generally the second week of May,
Okay.
so.
What are leaf vac consumables? Is that for the leaf vac, the leaf vac thing needed some?
Yeah, so it's generally air filters and other consumable items that get used and then tossed out.
Okay. And then that, what it said, Wassa chemical calcium chloride, is that the stuff you put on dust control for like that one road that we had talked about, that gravel road?
Correct.
That we put out?
Yep.
Jones, I think
And
Jones was
Jones,
the
Nick and
discussion. that we
Jones,
had.
Kamichik, yeah.
Come and check.
Is that a discussion we were gonna do at Public Works to talk about that next month?
Yep.
Okay, I had to ask a couple questions because expenditures is 1.9 million, so you gotta ask some questions. That's what I had. Did you have anything, Brent?
I have a couple too, so you know.
I figured.
WPS, so the lights are all listed on here. Is this a complete list of all of the lights that we pay electricity for in the village? Or are there more that are not on this list?
No, so what Song does is monthly, she'll record all our ACH payments that go to WPS, so it should be all of them, all the ones that we receive monthly bills for.
Is there some that we don't receive monthly bills for?
The pool can be funny.
Which one? Pool?
The
Pool.
pool.
Get a sense of humor.
Sometimes we'll get a heating bill that is not, like, they'll miss a month. And then it'll be more the next month. We're not quite sure with that one, but because that one year, I think we only had like 5 bills for the pool. So that is not monthly.
So in the summer months here where we don't have heat, is 45,000 roughly?
No, summer month, you mean for the municipal center or for the
Just in
pool?
general, we spent $45,000 at WPS. Is that generally our month's expenditures for all of the things at WPS when there's no heat, like at the bill, like winter months? Okay.
I mean, the summer could be worse due to the pool.
Okay.
The amount of electricity and gas that we used for heating the pool is tremendous.
WPS electrical and gas, what's air conditioning too?
That's not air conditioned, no.
No?
No, but we have pool heaters, we have gas hot water heaters. So we definitely use a lot during those months. I mean, our budget alone for electricity and natural gas, I think is close to 30,000 for the pool for 3 months.
Okay. And then just one other one, there is 2 items, Garmin Village owned and Garmin staff owned.
I have that written down too.
One's for $1299.96 and one's for $135, and I failed to write the page number down, my apologies.
So the village has a part of our wellness policy that employees are able to get a Garmin watch. Is it every other year? Every 2 years. And then, so the village would purchase it, and the difference between the village's portion is the employee owned, and then we'll do payroll deductions.
The village's portion every 2 years is $45. So it's not the entire cost. It's $45 towards every 2 years.
So thank you. That is it.
Any more? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Ordinances 35, ordinance 26-013, an ordinance amending section 50.103 of the municipal code to establish procedures for the storage and disposal of property removed during nuisance abatement. It's your pleasure.
Motion to approve, get on, motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Ermling, second by Olson on the question.
I think it just makes sense. I mean, otherwise you end up with this stuff that you hold on indefinitely. 30 days is long enough to
Agree.
make someone can get their stuff.
Okay. No more discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 36, ordinance 26-014. An ordinance amending section 10.123 animal fanciers of the Code of Ordinances of the Village of Weston. It's your pleasure.
We'll move to approve.
Move to approve by Lopes Ferraro,
I'll second.
second by Olson. Anything on the question?
Well, I guess I kind of wonder, the police department doesn't feel it's space is correct.
Different item. That's
A different item? Okay.
to
I'm
change
sorry.
the ordinance.
This is just changing the ordinance.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes.
We
The
discussed this in
ordinance.
clips. This is just basically changing the body that hears that
Yes.
going forward
Right.
to clips
Yes.
instead of plan commission. Really, I mean, there's a few other things, but it's. pretty much
Right,
that.
yeah. I just had the other thing in my head
Okay.
here. I'm sorry.
So motion by Lopes Ferraro, second by Olson. Any more questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Resolutions 37, joint resolution 2026-001, a joint resolution with the Village of Weston, Village of Rothschilds, and the Mountain Bay Metropolitan Police Department for depth authorization in the Mountain Bay Metropolitan Police Department intergovernmental agreement between the villages of Weston and Rothschild for sharing the costs and expenses associated with the construction of a new police department headquarters. It's your pleasure.
Do we discuss it now or afterwards?
We'll get on the floor.
Okay, I move to approve the joint resolution number 2026-1, an intergovernmental agreement between the villages of Weston and Rothschild and MPMPD regarding the debt and repayment of funds for the construction of a new police department headquarters.
Motion by Beck,
I'll second.
second by Olson. Now on the question?
I have a
It was
question.
the question that I had was just with the EMPD funds, and I don't know if we're discussing that now or later. If that's gonna offset the borrow.
It's gonna come up.
Okay,
And I-
then I'll say that.
Is on the agenda later, but it would offset the borrow. So the way that the agreement is structured, we can secure the funds. We secure them separately, however we would like. And so the proposal in the packet later on is to apply that fund balance towards the borrow to offset that cost. The repayment is still the 4,355,000, but it would save that interest cost. And again, the repayment, just so in the packet is also the loan. So Jessica proposed doing the loan local with the bank. Those are the last two agenda items tonight. We did put out a RFP. Jessica put out an RFP for 4 million. That would mean that the fund balance was applied towards that loan. And that there is a 10-year option in that. We won't be paid back over the course of 10 years. The payback will take over the course of much longer.
Lisa, you good?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, Barb?
Well, I read through that and I guess I'm looking at the loan and how it's being paid back. And I heard over and over about, well, the amount is going to come out of the PD's budget and they're going to pay for this. However, at the rate they're going to pay it back, it's going to take approximately, give or take a few years, about 34 years for them to pay us back for this loan. We're going to take it out for 20 years because that's the max.
We likely will take it out for less. I mean,
Okay, but we're going to have to approximately make up about 40% of the payment. And this could, give or take, because we didn't have the interest numbers and all that stuff. We're gonna have to increase our levy by about 206,000 to pay for the full portion of the loan, not the 60% that the police department is gonna pay us each year. They said 130,000 plus interest, and I just threw out a 7,600, I'm sorry. Or 76,000, I can't even read my own writing. For a total of 137, but anyway.
Just want to clarify, it's 130 flat. It's not 130 plus interest.
Well, that's what this agreement says, 130 plus interest.
The agreement says that they agree to pay back the 130 a year, but they will, that also encompasses interest, but it's not in addition.
Well, it says interest payments from the financing shall be paid by the MPD in addition to the principal payment.
It will be paid back, but at 130,000 per year, starting.
Okay, so it's probably going to be closer to a 40-year payback. So we're going to pay it all up in 20 years. And then the next 20 years, we'll put it back to something, but I don't agree. I mean, we're going to have to increase. I keep hearing they're paying us back, but we're going to have to increase our levy by quite a bit in order to pay off this loan in 20 years. And we're not, now it's even worse. We're going to get 130,000 total for the year. And
can I add something? Yep, so 130,000 is the minimum. Mountain Bay Metro Oversight Board will decide when the budget comes out, which is Thursday, and they'll decide what the payment is going to be. The goal is to pay it somewhere around 250 total between the two municipalities to 275. If there's fund balance every year, the Oversight Board has the ability to take that fund balance to pay down on that debt. Our goal is to pay the debt down on it as fast as possible, so it doesn't take a 35-year or whatever time frame to pay that back. But each municipality, depending on how they borrow, get paid back on the interest on it. But again, it's the Oversight Board gets to oversee all those payments and make that determination, which is made up of board members of both municipalities. And the 130 for Weston, and that is a minimum. It's not the actual dollar amount. The goal is to pay a lot more than that, so.
And just to note, that doesn't start till 2028. We wouldn't get a payment in 2027 unless it's proposed in the budget, but that's not how the agreement is structured.
And the goal is to start paying January of 27. And the Oversight Board has the ability, they could even move that in earmark it, so that if it comes back in 28, then they could get it, or at the end of 27, or however the Oversight Board decides to take that money or from the budget. But unfortunately, we as the police department don't have the ability to borrow any money. That's where the entities, because it's owned by the entities, have to borrow the money. And this was the best way for us to come up with that, to get it repaid back from our budget.
yeah, I guess I just find it because different ones said, well, you know, they're going to pay it back. And I said, well, yeah, but we're going to pay it up front for the first 20 years. And then they're going to have another, well, like I said, now another 20 years to pay it. And I don't know. I just think this whole thing was handled so poorly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for me, it would be better if they just reduced the amount we have to pay by 130,000 each year. I don't know why we're cutting them a check, meaning we have to increase our operations levy to pay Mountain Bay just to pay us back.
Yeah,
And that was part of the way the charter was designed when it was written. So that was designed already when this came together, and that's the way the charter would have to get rewritten to change that if that was the case. But this was the.
Well, yeah,
best
like
way
I
to
said, this said plus interest, so I guess I'm not even, but, well, not really, but yeah.
Any more questions?
This would be the opportunity. Is there a reason why not? Do we generally not with these or?
We haven't in the past, I mean, if it's been a board request, but otherwise, no.
It's going to the Mountain Bay Metro's attorney, correct?
Mountain Bay Metro's attorney is the one who proposed the joint resolution.
Correct.
But I just want to note and to make sure that it's part of the minutes, understanding that the agreement says that we are going to borrow up to 4.3, provided the agenda items are approved later. We will really borrow 4. It's our responsibility how we borrow. The recommendation is to offset that cost with the Everest Metro fund balance in order to reduce that interest. We are still paid back for the 4.3, but that saves on that interest cost for that $300,000.
I had one more point. So the agreement between the two municipalities went through Baird. So Rothschild sent it into their financial to look at it, to make sure everything looked good, and they reviewed it and they were good with it. And the resolution part of it went through the attorney for Mountain Bay Metro. So both of them have been looked at by somebody to make sure that it works out.
And I understand there's a time constraint here. We're trying to get a date here, but I guess I just look at it from the perspective of we're entering into a $7 million agreement. We really should have our attorney be reviewing contracts where we're entering into a multi-year $7 million agreement just to ensure the village is.
7 with the 2 municipalities.
Or the
Or for
joint
Weston,
venture
right.
for $7 million. So even if it was $4 million, I just think as a rule of thumb, we should have our attorney look at these things to make sure that.
Really what that is just a promise to borrow. And that's all it is. So both municipalities understand that if the building starts, there's going to be a borrow for the money. That's really what the contract is. So it's a little bit different in that aspect of it. And
I understand that. I just, that's the layer of protection. Yes, that's how I look at it, but.
Any more?
I guess I have some concerns, but I'm gonna do it with under my statements. Under my report.
All right. Any no more? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
No. So 4-1 carry. Thank you.
I was worried about
Yeah.
how many people were here.
Oh, that's all right. 38, resolution 2026-021. A resolution approving the North Central Wisconsin Stormwater Coalition Cooperative Agreement.
Motion to.
Motion to approve by Ermeling. Second by Lopes Ferrero. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Resolution 39, resolution 2026-022, authorizing resolution for Bayberry Street, Concord Avenue reconstruction project. It's your pleasure.
I move to recommend the village board approve the authorizing resolution 2026-022 for special assessments for the drive approach construction for the Bayberry Street and Concord Avenue reconstruction project as presented in the engineer's report.
Motion by Ermeling. Second by Olson. Anything on the question? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Unfinished business 40, discussion and or action on establishing a 2027 budget priorities.
You want to start with some discussion?
You'll start with some discussion?
Yeah,
Well-
we just want to share with the board what the finance team and research study.
We talked about the same memo at finance and HR right before this meeting. The 3 items that I'll bring forward from that meeting was the 1 robotic mower, starting with 1, just to see how it would work. To bring back a draft position description and some more fleshing out of that creation of the facilities and grounds maintenance position. And then the 3 positions for safer.
Thoughts?
And again, if it's not on this list, this would, be the time to start that conversation. This was just to get the thought flowing.
I guess my thought is that on our comp plan and on any of the surveys and what I hear in the public is that safety should be our priority. So how do we not set that as our priority during the budget? I see nothing in there about fire, police, safe water drinking. That should be our focus.
There are the 3 positions for safer. In addition, the piece about the facilities and grounds, I mean, the building inspector comes out of the safety budget also because building safety is safety. And they're a joint position now. And if we had a facilities and ground maintenance person and split that apart, we would have a larger focus on building inspection and could maybe start completing commercial building inspection.
I would just add that like a priority for me has been our drinking water, but I think through the CIP and Public Works, like we have some of those plans in place. I don't want to speak for you, Michael, but like some things are already in motion toward improving some of our drinking water.
Yeah, and I think this discussion, I guess that's where we get a little, so this is just general fund, I guess, budget priorities. I guess we haven't gone through the enterprise funds or the other the utilities and some of those items yet. So yeah, this is generally just looking at the general fund currently.
Some of them might cross over.
Yeah, some might cross over, like we talked about the building and grounds at HR finance. That would include then our well houses, our lift stations, and those facilities as well that our building inspectors and utility staff will maintain to work on repairing a doorknob that no longer works or lights that are out or if there's electrical issues. So
I think as it pertains to people, I mentioned this in finance and HR as well, the 3 safer positions, I think the public has made it very clear to us that that's a huge priority that we have to look at. Looking at some of the other positions, code enforcement, I mean, I think that they're all great ideas. I know there's no way we're gonna be able to add all of those people at one time. So I guess making sure, like I said, talking about in finance, fleshing out what exactly we think that public works maintainer operator can do, giving us a broader picture of what they could do across multiple departments to cross utilize those resources. With code enforcement position, are we thinking full-time, part-time? I guess I'd like to see some more information. I agree we need a code enforcement function, but is there enough for full-time? Is the demand enough there? So I really think it comes down to we're not going to be able to add all of these people. So as we're trying to decide, what's the right decision to make, what people are more important than potentially others, I think the more information we have on those, the better. Because again, I don't see a world where we're going to be able to add all.
So do we do more long-term planning as far as when we do budget? Is it just year to year to year? I know Michael does a lot of good CIPs that says, 2027 to 28, 28 to 29. Do we do that as far as other departments? So like when Jen has to put her budget together, does she put it together just for 2027 or does she plan, or do you plan for, I need this in 2027, I'm looking for 28 and 29 so we can look to the future. And I'm liking that to the same thing with like fire. So if we're gonna do 3 next year, can we start looking ahead in budget to figure out how we're gonna be able to work those in? So I guess that's part of what my question is.
Yep. So all of our spreadsheets do have the next year. So we have a projected number for the 2027 budget. Do we do the same as the state in a 2-year fiscal plan? No, but we are thinking ahead for that. I think the other piece of this conversation is some of these things could be that we would be trying to work them into future years and having the conversation with the trustees of, do you see that as a 2027 or a 2028? I think it's a great idea to do that long-term planning with SAFER. And I think we as the village have done a good job with that. I just can't stress enough, if that's a joint partnership, we need to also have our partners on board with that. And I think that comes back to having that joint meeting to say, if we're planning ahead for that, how are they also planning ahead for that? So it's not a surprise year to year. Not that it's been a surprise, but just that they're also, that we're walking that path together.
Which I can understand. I just don't know that everybody in the public sees that either, that it's joint and it's not just us determining that we have a whole another group of people that we're going to. and they have to be able to afford their 35% or 36% or whatever it is too. So I guess when I'm looking at budget, I'm not looking just year to year. If we want this in 2 years from now, we need to start planning for that now. And I would like to see that a little bit more.
And we are open to that. Tell us what it is. What are you thinking?
Well, I am.
I mean, what are those things though? We can start to put it in the budget.
Nate mentioned about cyber attacks. So is that something that we're gonna be talking about? Is there special equipment? Is there special software? Yellow Banks has an ADA area where the people can't get in and out. I think that was planned at the planning. Was there a tree or Public Works, something where they can't get in with the water?
That was at Parks for
Parks.
cutting the trees in the river, because if somebody's getting into their kayak, they can't necessarily get out and portage around the fallen tree.
So that would be a safety area. What about, we have the bike and pedestrian plan. Are there parts of that are more emergent, like a sidewalk that is breaking down that people are having trouble getting over? I would liken that to a safety thing. So not implementing necessarily the whole bike and pedestrian plan of $16 million, but are there safety features that we should be incorporating? I mean, the public has spoken up more than once that that's their focus. So that would be my focus in looking at this. Just my 2 cents. Sorry.
We don't have to apologize. It's what we're
On the
asking.
public safety, I mean, every survey I've ever seen, if it rates all the departments, public safety is always number one, always. Not bike paths, tracks, I mean, but fire and police. And, you know, so those two entities right there is just number one, just am I secure? Am I safe in this community? You know, do we have at least above average, you know, equipment and personnel and training and all that. So that's always number one. Then it comes into more comfort and necessities and stuff like that. But I like the couple years. I like start doing the 20, you know, if we're doing 27, of course we are, but 28 and 29, and then continue that. And as we go, or as the next board or whoever, that'll just keep going and developing, you know, have more and more items in future years that you thought, and maybe some board will take it back, or maybe staff will say, no, let's pull this one back that we had 3 years out, and, you know, whatever. Just, I mean, we do that in so many other areas, and I think we should be doing the same thing in the budget, instead of, it seems like the minute we get done with this budget, in a couple months, we're starting it again. Yeah.
Exactly, and I
Yeah.
think planning out would save staff some of that work because they'll have that process already started. I mean, we used to plan and budget when I don't remember what year, I know I looked at it. It was, and it said like priority 1, 2, and 3, this year, next year, the following year. And I don't remember what year's budget it had that, but I'm sure you've seen that before. So I think it would just save us time overall to start working on that now.
We do that with equipment and public
Yeah.
works, we do that
Yeah, he
in our
does.
streets.
Does.
We got all the processes we have in our streets and which ones are first, which ones are second. And we have to have some defense to that when the public comes in and says, my road is worse. No, the CADIS, right? Or what is that, SCADIS, or what is that program?
Pacer is our road.
Pacer, yeah, Pacer.
Close.
Whatever it means,
Close.
whatever it means, you know, so. But it's, I'll tell you, when I first learned about that, that's a heck of a program. And you're able to stand on that and push that forward. So, yeah, I agree.
We just did the comp plan survey. EMS was first and roads and repairs was second. Fire was third. Police was fourth. Like this was just, we just finished this.
June.
EMS number one? I
EMS.
want to get saved. I want that ambulance at my door in 5 minutes. I'll get out to the curb. You just got to get the ambulance to me.
Actually, they're tied.
Okay.
Sorry, Michael, I see they're tied.
So public works,
Maintenance and EMS tied.
public maintenance, roads,
Road maintenance and
you
repairs.
gotta have a road to get that ambulance there.
I was
Yep.
just gonna say that if you don't have the snow plowed and the roads worked up,
I agree.
you aren't gonna get to them.
Okay.
And then we did talk about the maintenance person, and one of the things Michael brought up is that some of that cost could be offset by the fact that we now have people come in, we hire people to do certain parts of the thing. If we had someone that could do that, then that
Well,
would save
case in
money
point with
too.
the engineer, you know what, I mean, that's saving us some money. But we're paying some incredible expenses to these different projects we have. So, yeah. Well, this is a good start. and- yeah.
Sorry, where does that aquatic center fit in that discussion?
Down the pipe.
Is that part of this?
It's in
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we have a separate agenda item this evening, but, and it's not in, that's one of those broader than just general.
Okay. I just think that whole area needs to be looked at.
Okay, good start.
More
Stay
next
tuned,
week.
stay tuned, 5:30, the 24th here, be there. Okay? So discussion, no action, I believe, right? Good. No action. All right, 41, discussion and interaction on the Parks and Recreation Committee recommendation to continue the farmer's market at Kennedy Park. Your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Ermeling,
second.
second by Lopes Ferrero. Any more in the discussion?
I don't like it at the park.
Huh?
I don't like it at the
But-
park.
but
It
for-
uses
but-
the whole green area.
Yep, okay, until we find another place?
Last
So-
year it was said it was
Okay.
gonna be temporary.
Okay, so if it's temporary, and this is our last year, do you want to close it?
Sure.
Really? Well, that would be incredible.
Can I ask why?
Okay, yeah.
Can I ask why?
Mhm.
I think when you're looking at Kennedy Park, part of the park system is to have green space, right?
Mhm.
So why don't we have green space? Why does it have to be there using that only area of the park? Why can't we look at another option? I
So
don't
green
understand
space
it.
for?
Kids to play in a park. Isn't that the
Okay,
purpose
but
of
no,
a park?
I agree. So, I mean, over the last 3 weeks, I've got 2 grandchildren that come to our house twice a week. We've been to every single park just to see the playground equipment. I wanted to actually ask a 5 and a 3-year-old, what is their favorite park? They picked Yellow Banks. I think it's because of the green. My 3-year-old granddaughter loves green. But I was absolutely impressed. I have never gone up and sat on these and touched these and looked at them. I know when there was some controversy when they first went in, I went and looked at some of them. But I never sat for a half an hour, hour and a half at each one over several days to see this. And not once was anyone in any of these parks that we were at during the day, Tuesdays or Thursdays, except Kennedy. And if that green space is so big at Kennedy, could you go to one of the other 6 for the green space? I'm just saying, they're very drivable, very bikeable. When we first got to Kennedy, actually 2 junior high, senior high students were laying on the swings on their phones. And I just said, go play, and they did. And within 5 minutes, the 3 and the 5-year-old won. And the 2 younger adults left because they were so intimidated by these young kids that wanted to play on these swings. But I don't know. I mean, to not have the farmer's market, that's a big deal.
Mhm.
That's a really big deal. Luis?
Thank you. So
Come back to
I think it's important to, I guess, for myself, that parks aren't only about having a place for kids to play. It's about having a place for community to gather, for engagement, for a lot of different things. We've seen that corner of the park for years and years sit empty without anything actually on it. So right now, something productive is being used there. Last year, when I proposed that we make this a 1-year thing, basically, let's do it for 2026. It was because we didn't know what it would look like. We wanted to see what it would look like, how it would work. Will it be successful? Can it work? Before we say, let's keep it going. So it wasn't necessarily that, at least from my proposal, wasn't that this is only going to be temporary. It's let's see how it works. I think that we've seen that it has the ability to succeed there. And by us voting to keep it there doesn't mean that there would have to be other proposals and stuff if we're going to make actual infrastructure changes for the farmers market there. Right now, I think what we're voting on is just saying we're keeping it there because we have not had any other successful alternatives brought forward to us other than closing it and just not having a farmer's market, which for me is not something that I'm willing to consider because it pays for itself. It's a community thing that people enjoy, I enjoy, and I want to see it succeed. So from my perspective, we continue it there. We have discussions about what changes we may make to that park, if anything. Maybe we have discussions about moving it to the other corner. Maybe we say, no, let's keep it here and improve the infrastructure. I don't know. All we're saying is, let's just keep it going for 2027 and beyond. Unless we come up with a better idea, which
Better plan.
any year we can come up with a different idea and say, actually, I think this works out better.
Okay.
So that's my perspective.
Okay, I'll try to be brief with all the stuff I have for now. I agree with almost everything Luis said, but I think we are just looking for another year at a time. We spent a great deal of money and time putting the infrastructure into this new location. We spent thousands of dollars in electrical work. I don't even want to know how much staff time, if we could even put a value on the amount of our staff that spent just a ton of time. New signs and just, there's a lot of costs and things that go into just changing locations. It's not just that simple. And I don't know that I would be a fan of just continuing to spend that money on a repeating basis because we want to keep changing the location. I think we need to be a little bit more long-term thinking about it. I agree with Luis. There is no way I would ever vote to not have the farmer's market. That's a non-starter for me. So I spent a great deal of time, more than I care to admit, diving down, getting feedback on this park. So I read every comment on every single next door post, lots of comment, review post, and Facebook post I could find. And it's amazing how many different posts this conversation was stirred up on. And again, to the point where my eyes are glossed over. But I wanted to look at, first of all, location. And all of that I put together, all the in-person feedback as well that I got, 3 locations I won't even talk about. One is the old place, we can't have it there. One is the old village hall space, guess what, we sold that land, can't have it there either. And the only other one that was offered by an option by anybody was this space. Well, here's the thing, is I don't think this space will ultimately be big enough. And there is no overflow parking here. We can't have people blocking the lane of a county highway, overflow parking for the farmer's market. So short of a better location, which is really, I think, what hasn't been shared by a lot of the people who don't care for this location, is that there isn't one at the moment. So I was like, okay, well, what can we do to fix some of the issues? Let's look at solutions versus just complaining, right? So how can we fix some of the issues? So in reading all of this stuff, I put together some of the most common things people were concerned about. The common things that people were talking about a lot. I met with both Jamie and Renee as well, and talked with Chief about a lot of this as well. I think there's a lot of things that we can do to alleviate a lot of the concerns that are there. So if the board were to choose to leave it at Kennedy Park, I'd like to see it with some of the things like this. First and foremost, the lot off of Alderson, and speaking with Renee, a lot of times that lot's empty because people didn't know it was there. So we did something very simple with this last week, is she moved the sign saying there's a lot ahead down to Alderson and Newkirk, just to try to get more people aware of the fact, hey, there's a whole lot here that's empty, parking, right? And then a lot of the others were really big complaints about not being able to see at intersections and driveways being blocked. I know one gentleman shared that somebody actually parked their car in his driveway, and my response to him was call the cops, get a ticket and tow it, because that's ridiculous. That should just not be happening. But some of the other things are looking at the 15 feet from an intersection. I think the biggest intersection that's an issue is Alderson and Newburgh. Frankly, I think that's a blinded intersection anyway, with all the vegetation on the one side of the road, the north side of the road there. So some of the things that Jamie and Renee and I talked about is, yes, we painted the curbs 15 feet in any direction. Yeah, it's not gonna do anything. Could we cone off 15 feet in each direction from that intersection to ensure people aren't too close parks so that people can safely navigate the intersection? We're gonna reach out to, or maybe Jamie already did, reach out to the property owner to the north there and ask them to cut their bushes a little bit. Because they're really a site issue there. In addition, I think we really need to enforce the 4 feet from a driveway rule. It's real simple. You have to be 4 feet from a driveway. And I checked with Chief, and he's on board with having an officer swing through every couple hours, every hour or so on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and either writing citations or giving warnings for people that aren't parking appropriately. I know there was some different agreements on or beliefs on whether we should be doing warnings or citations. I'll leave that to the chief and his staff at their discretion. But at the end of the day, these are not new parking rules. They've been parking rules forever. And they're actually required by state statute. So getting that additional enforcement to ensure people can get safely in and out of their driveways, people can safely navigate these intersections. I think those are some very small things that we can do to alleviate some of the concerns. There's no way we will ever alleviate every concern, no matter where we move it. There'll be people who don't care for that location. So I just think, you know what, we have to work with what we have right now. And short of a better option, let's do some of these small things that will maybe solve a lot of the concerns that people have. Won't resolve all of them, we won't get rid of all of them, but it would solve a lot. And I think those are some, I guess you'd say, conditions. If we were going to stay where we're at, I'd like to make sure that we're implementing some of these things and being very intentional about it, so that we don't have cars parking in people's driveway or blocking them in when they're trying to get out of their world.
Okay, Martin?
Yeah, well, Brett expressed some of the things. I know I brought up the fact that maybe we need to plan to kind of figure out what works best in that park. And then maybe at some point in time, we have to look at, do we need 5 ballparks? Maybe we could do 4. I mean, when we get the funds, don't get me wrong, we're not building them till we get the funds, but maybe we should just look at total of 4 instead of 5. Then maybe we'd even have a place for pickleball. I don't know, parking, you know, and the farmer's market. But I have heard more people that have complained about the parking, but yet I think they were listening to rumors more than they were actually going there. Because they admitted they hadn't gone because they said the parking was so bad. Well, I'm sorry, unless you tried it, you don't know if the parking was bad.
The parking was bad and can still be bad. I think Louise or Brent said about the striping
Oh,
and the white
yes.
striping, that's done great. I've been there at least 10 times. You know, with the grandkids again, I can't get out of there without getting a slushie or a egg roll. But I just think it's wonderful. I just do.
Well-
So I mean, I know there's some issues. You know, nobody's talking about the other place, the former place. So yeah, was that visually incredible, optically perfect? Yeah. But let me tell you, 2 exits, 2 entrances, that's it. And talking about clogging up all the good customer parking for all of those businesses that are
Yes.
paying all that. You know, I mean, my lord, it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. Half the time we wouldn't even stop in there because it was so busy and so clogged up in there. And all we wanted was some mums or, you know, a hero or something from Danny's. So there's just so much more relaxing here. It's easier to walk up and down and, but yeah, we've got some issues.
Yeah,
So,
well, we read, it was.
yep, Luis, and then I'll finish with you, Lisa.
Yeah, don't worry.
I'll just finish with, you know, this is something that we discussed at the Parks Committee. We need to, if the board were to approve on us continuing the farmer's market there, that we do need to look at how the farmer's market fits into the plan, the master plan for that park, and how the master plan can be adjusted. We do have the number of fields that were envisioned for that park, but one was gonna be larger than, like, currently we just have one of the smaller fields. But there's discussion about how does hockey fit into that park? How do pickleball, how do like anything fit into that park? And I think we keep our mind open and we look at, okay, if the farmer's market is there, do we create a space for it, but also keep that space available for other things when the farmer's market isn't occupying it? Obviously, we have a concert coming up. We want to keep that space available for as many times as we want to have something like that, because that's a really cool opportunity. So I think there's opportunity where we make investments into the farmer's market to make certain things easier for people. And we do that through funding that the farmer's market has itself. A lot of the improvements that were done this year, if I'm correct, they came out of the farmer's market. Yeah, so the farmer's market improvements were funded through the farmer's market money. And I say we do that, like if we need to make improvements to paths or whatever, we fund that through farmer's market money. If we need to make improvements to the structure of the park, you know, yeah, maybe that needs to be levy money, but we can discuss how that gets done. But ultimately, we're deciding, do we continue it there? And then we decide from there, where do we go from there with it?
Yep.
Thank you.
Lisa, you want to finish?
Yeah, just real quick. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have it. I'm just saying that is an option.
That's what you said.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that is an
yeah,
option
okay,
to not have it,
okay, all right.
okay? And I think you have excellent points. I think looking at the farmer's market on what we would expect, if it's gonna be there, what do we expect? I know we have a huge list of people coming in, but that area might not be able to contain that amount of people. The traffic might not be able to contain that amount of people. So if you vote to keep it there, or we vote to keep it there, I think we need to look at overall what that means. And it might mean we have to keep it to a certain size.
And that's what
or
we do,
rotate
because
vendors
I have a
out.
huge list,
Yeah.
but I limit it, like, just because they call and say, I want to be a vendor, doesn't mean they can be a vendor.
Yeah, because there's only so much room, and
Absolutely.
we have to be fair to all of them. So
Absolutely.
maybe they get a 1 year, we have to rotate.
Okay.
And last thing, we talked about having a survey after the Alderson roundabout was done, because we thought some of the negativity would be from there. So could we have that rediscussion at some point to have it at the end of the farmer's market season, when that roundabout has been done, and see if that changes people's views?
All right, hearing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye. Keeping it at Kennedy Park? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay?
1 nay. So carried, 4-1. All right, 41 is finished. 42, discussion and interaction on the use of municipal center rooms as public meeting, gathering spaces, and accompanying draft policy. We did get a draft policy from a neighboring municipality today. I don't know who wants to start this off. I will definitely start it off. I was here as a supervisor and then a trustee and then now another trustee. Others have been too. I think this is absolutely the worst thing we could be talking about. And this is heavy maintenance. I just saw tons of damage and a lot of arguments and who's first and I don't know what this all entails, but this is going to be a can of worms, and I don't know how we would expect our staff to manage and maintain all this. And a neighboring municipality has a 9 o'clock shut off at midnight, and then there's another party coming in on Sunday. Who's coming in? Who's coming in to clean it up? Who's going to come in to do the checklist? Who's going to come in to do the key? So we're already pushing everything right now, and now we're going to probably have to change all the locks in this building. I don't even know what room we're talking about. The one behind us? Is that, yep. I've been asked several times, probably a dozen times by residents over the last 20 years for that. And I get asked about, blacktopping roads too. And, I know Schofield used to let people into their building. They sold their site. They now have it back behind the whole Greenhead complex back there. They sold the Cigar Sea and some beautiful apartments and townhouses are going up. But I just think this would be pretty wild. And then, so is this going to be a thing where if somebody picks Tuesdays and Thursdays we want it from 10 to 2 for our meeting, is that forever? Or do they have to give that up every year? Is there going to be a lottery process? I mean, there's just a lot more here to think about than just opening it up and having a really good feeling about it. I'm going to talk forever. So somebody else, Lisa, I think this
This
is yours.
came up at one of the engagement sessions,
Yep.
and that's why we kind of brought it up. I think it was
Okay.
the second one that we were at maybe, or I don't remember if it's the
I was
first or
at the second
second.
one. It must have been at the first one.
Maybe it was at the first one, and somebody had to ask about it, and that's why I kind of wondering if we could just put it forth to get the discussion. Just because I know some villages have it, I'm not saying we should have it or not have it, I just think it could be a consideration. And then you could make those rules when you're drafting it. It would be only open, here is January schedule, or here is February schedule with certain constraints, or a fee they have to put down, down ahead of time if there is damage to the building. I'm just saying that I wanted to open up the discussion.
Well, yeah, like you, I actually was staff at the time that we were renting out, and there were times where we actually, the cleaning service came in and cleaned. And so that cost us, and there were sometimes it was so bad that it cost more than what we got, plus we held a security deposit and it still didn't cover. And then sometimes you had 2 parties in a row, so you didn't know who did what because the cleaning service didn't look at that. And one time they didn't show up, and so a couple of us in the office went and cleaned up the hall and the bathrooms and the whatever. we did it. We would have tables broke, but we didn't know it because they put them away. And then once we would go to get them out, we didn't know who did it, so.
I
No,
remember,
I just would not agree I like the policy we have where it is, you know, limited as to what, you know, we would do.
if you open it up, you have to open it up to everybody. Luis?
All I'll say is I appreciate the fact that we're having this discussion. I think it's cool that somebody came to one of these events, spoke up about something that they had a question about, and that we're having that discussion. But similar, I'm not in support of doing it. I don't really need to get into all the reasons other than I think it creates some work and money considerations that we don't necessarily need right now. So that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yeah, Brent?
You know, I'm not real hard to do one way or another. I don't like the idea of our staff having to be here to supervise it. So unless we could come up with an alternative to that, I don't know that I would be a huge component of that, because I think our staff have better things to do on Saturdays and Sundays after being here all week than come to supervise an event. I'd like to see, if we did approve it, it'd be a very specific list of the types of events that you allow. I think that we have the ability, if we were to do it, to be restrictive on what we would allow to try to minimize some of the things that we talked about with damage and all those types of things. But without that, I don't know that I'd even consider it as a good idea.
Would an option be to send it to like Clips or committee for them to just come up with some ideas and then present it back to the board, or?
That's like Pam?
So I worked at Schofield for 9 years and I cleaned after every party. So you do have a lot of people that leave it really nice. But we experienced, I have unclogged toilets. The floor was so sticky, it was like every kid spilled their soda and then spit their gum out. I had times where you went in and everything was left and there was a party coming. So you had to clean everything out, put it in the vestibule, clean up so the next party can come, and then call those people and tell them to take all their stuff. We've had pornographic stuff etched in the doors. There was a lot of stuff we experienced in Schofield. That's why they don't have theirs anymore. When they moved, they don't have it anymore because it was a lot of work.
I would be okay if it went to another committee, but are we just pushing the hope?
Right.
Are we just pushing hope that there's a chance, that there's a possibility? I would caution on that. That now it goes to a committee and now the committee, oh, this is pretty exciting. This, they see all what they presume to be positives and they bring it back to the board and it gets shot down. So I'd be careful on putting it back to a committee with the express thought that it could be hope. That, this might actually work. I mean, so let's say there's a bunch of groups here playing cards and now you start seeing cash laying around. All the things that we had, there's alcohol involved and DJs and bands and stuff. Go ahead.
And that's, so like you say you can put all these rules on these groups, doesn't mean they're gonna follow them unless somebody's here to check on them. We had no alcohol allowed at Kennedy Hall when we rented that out. Well, if you've seen what we went through in that building, you had more alcohol than anything, because we weren't going there to enforce it. And you're gonna have somebody have to do that.
Well, it's a real simple thing of a speeding limit.
Oh, yeah,
We have speeding limits everywhere. And there's speeding going on all the time, even though it's right there. It's black and white, 35 miles an hour right here. Oh, there's somebody went by at 45. There's Maloney going by at 50, so anyway. So I just want to caution if we push it back to a committee that we could be expressing some hope.
I think it's the board that's gonna have to decide that.
It'll be the final decision anyway.
Right.
So is there action on this? Does somebody want to take some action on this?
Well,
There is an action needed if you're just going to maintain what you
As it
currently.
is? Okay.
Right.
Does somebody want to do action?
I'm good, but I know what would happen. So-
It's up to you. Okay, no action? Moving on, new business 43. Consideration of project 202600263. Rezoning request to rezone 4205 and 4307 Weston Avenue from B2 highway business to L1 LI, Limited Industrial Plan Commission recommended denial. What's your consideration?
Can I ask a procedural question before we put it on the floor?
Sure.
So on page 256, it talks about our options. That this body wanted to go contrary to the plan commission's recommendation for denial. 2/3 or greater of the full village board, so 5 out of 7 would have to vote in favor of doing that.
Mhm.
When we only have 5 of us here tonight, is it appropriate for us to do that and have a good unanimous vote if it went that way, or is it better off that we wait till we have our full body here so that? I guess that's my question is.
I would really defer that back to the board. You have the appropriate number of people, but you are correct. The vote has to be,
So tonight would be a 4-1?
no, it would have to be 5. If it,
Oh, 5.
It's the full board by
I see,
statute, so
I
like
see.
all 5 of us would have to unanimously agree.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm wondering, is that fair to the person who's applying? I guess I don't know if there's a time limit here, if this would be deferred. I just wanted to bring that up before we made a decision, because
Well, it'd be
obviously
a
that
while
makes.
before
it
we're gonna
Well,
have a
if we,
full board.
if we have, I mean, if we have the appropriate amount of people here now, I think it's prudent that we vote.
There's questions that
Mhm.
wanted to make sure.
Okay. So we would be voting on. We would be voting to accept the planning commission's
Yeah.
recommendation of denial. Correct? Okay, otherwise someone would have to change that and say, the opposite.
yes, that you are, that you would be not affirming their decision.
Yep,
And
okay.
in order for that to be not affirmed, all 5 would have to vote it.
Okay. So somebody wanted,
I'll get it on the floor
Okay.
since I was at planning. I move that the village board approves the recommendation to deny that came from the planning commission.
so we have a motion on the floor by Lopes Ferrero to accept the planning commission's recommendation of denial. Is there a second? Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Ermeling. Any more in the discussion?
Does anybody here know why was it denied initially in 2012? Anybody here historically know that? Sorry, it's long time ago.
Yeah, it
There's
was,
a page, Jen, too. I think there's a piece of that that's
I missed it in this one.
I had it in there.
that you had prior.
Did.
Sorry for something about like the language has been updated since that time, but I just was wondering. What was the cause of the denial in 2012?
242? No, that's this one.
I think it says in 241.
41?
41, I think. Right there on July 9th. 2012.
While you're looking that up, I'll just add, we had some discussion, that was brought up and it was mentioned by the applicant about, you know, was there some unfair discussion about like, do we need more storage units and things like that? Both, Mumper and myself on the commission both said like, that's not our place to decide that. That's the market's place to decide that. We're voting based off of the information that's presented, our comprehensive plan, our zoning rules, like that's our job as a commission. It's not our job to decide, do we need another business? Because if a business wants to put in a business and it's zoned for that, we feel like they should be able to do that. So I don't feel that we were negatively biased by that. That was something that we spoke about during the meeting.
Any more?
I think Jen was about the 2012.
Minutes. Well, if you're looking for that, I guess another question is, have we had any other interest in this piece of land?
Well, I had that question too.
But I know we have a plan, we have a comp plan, it's updated in 2024. Is anybody else inspired as to any of this piece of land?
Well, he's owned it for a
Yeah.
considerable amount of time. It's about what he intends to build there and what he would like to build there. And I guess the discussion about the land is all the land adjacent to it or in the area, because there's been discussion over the many years about what could happen to that corridor.
Well, I guess that's
what
more my
hasn't.
question is, has there been interest in anything in this area? There is, right? Is there a general reason why it hasn't gone through, or just?
No, did you ask currently?
Or just in the last few years, has anybody else spoken about the land around the applicants, like, as far as trying to do what we have in our camp plan?
Yes.
That is-
Met with them last Thursday,
Okay, so there's a possible now.
Friday.
Yeah, current.
We did have public comment from the landowner to the east, I think it is, the daycare.
The daycare was
The
there.
daycare, where they basically said they don't have any intention of doing anything with their property over there. They have nothing planned. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but from what I recall, they had nothing planned, and if the right buyer came up and they didn't have a need for it, they might sell it, so.
Okay.
But back in 2012, it was very similar to what ended up coming through in the current comprehensive plan. It was looked at as a retail corridor based off of its proximity to the interchange area. So essentially, prime development area. When you look at the Weston Avenue corridor plan, Camp Phillips corridor plan, just the overall comprehensive plan, this use tends to be more industrial and not type class A retail kind of development. And so that has a better place within the village. And so that's where the comprehensive plan kind of comes into play. When we did all those corridor plans, it all says the same thing, that we wanted more retail kind of in that area. Heading into the middle, it was going into more, we had planned places for industrial uses. Then you kind of go back into our industrial park. And then when we got over to the J interchange area, that's kind of flopped back and forth just because it's kind of further out. It's probably a good 20 years out on development, just because it's kind of moving down the corridor. That's a place that at one point when we were looking, it could have been hotels, it could have been things like that. It could have been more industrial parks. So that one was kind of put as commercial industrial flex when we did the update in 24. So a lot of this is going to get looked at again through the comprehensive plan effort, because when we did the plan years ago, there was, a sports complex on part of the business park. Things have changed there, but we also just implemented the last part of, the TIF district closing. We put the infrastructure in to actually develop this. So this is the next area of development for the village. I know a lot of people have a hard time thinking futuristically. I've been here for 20 years. This is kind of where our development's going to go, is Weston Avenue. And you talk to developers, we sat and talked to one, it's ready. It's just, how these things work. Some of you guys have been here for a long time. Things percolate. So there are things percolating again in the area. We might see something come through very soon. So right now, the comprehensive plan guides the decisions. It's required by state statutes that if we have a comprehensive plan, if we also do zoning, have a subdivision ordinance, those documents have to be consistent with your comprehensive plan. So anything that you change has to be consistent with that. Right now, this change to an LI is not consistent with the plan.
That was gonna be my question. So you're saying it doesn't fit the plan as it's currently laid out?
Yes.
So we're in the process of doing our next comp plan. Is it a possibility that it could be looked at again when that area, that zoning would be different on the next?
That's all pieces of this. We have to relook at the future land use of the village. That's a piece of
one element of the comprehensive plan. So we'll be looking at that. We'll be looking at transportation. So these are the discussions you guys will have in those steering committees. What do you want to see there? Is there something that's changing? Is there things coming forward that keeps that? I mean, we went through and did the comprehensive plan 2015, 2016. Then we hit heavy into those corridor plans, which are more specific. They're basically a deeper dive into those corridors. And then when we finished those in 24, we incorporated those back in, and the Plan Commission and the Village Board incorporated those corridor plans into the current plan. So really, we've kind of updated this more recently than anyone thinks, but we are required to look at everything as a whole every 10 years. So that's what we're starting. So you guys we did the survey. We'll be meeting and starting to talk about the meat of the plan over the next few months. And then you'll be adopting something in the spring, hopefully, if everything goes on track.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the planning commission recommended denial of project 202-600-263 zoning request, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 44, consideration of Bukowski Animal Fancier license at 5512 North Birch Lane. Plan Commission recommended denial. What's your pleasure? Or I need a motion, as Brent would say.
Well, I guess, I'll make a motion to uphold the planning commission's recommendation of denial.
Motion by Ermling to uphold Planning Commission's recommendation of denial. Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there a second? I'll make a second to get it on the floor. On discussion? Any? Go ahead.
So I voted to deny this license during the planning commission. I think one of my concerns it is, I don't want to say we were fed false information, because we weren't, but we were provided information that suggested that the dogs need a certain amount of space that needs to be adequate. But then we went back to the police department and asked, okay, where does that guidance come from? Is there legislation? Is there anything that says this is how much space is needed for a large breed dog? And we did not get that information. We do not have anything that says the regulation is this. So we're left with an option of, okay, do we go because we feel this is how much space a large dog needs? Recognizing that every large dog is very different in their energy use and stuff. I have a very large dog at home, and he occupies as much space as his body because he sleeps all day. So his space needs are very different than a 2-year-old husky that's running back and forth in the yard. So my concern is that we made a recommendation as a commission that was based off of something that wasn't founded in, I guess, a set number. We've heard some discussion from both the applicant and the neighbor, and I recognize that there's some absolute concerns between the neighbors that need to get figured out. You look at the GIS map, which is never an appropriate way to actually judge property lines. If you were to go based off of the GIS map of the property lines, every house in that neighborhood is built on the neighbor's lot. So if there's an actual issue there with the property line, it needs to get actually looked at. But I can tell from the presentation from the applicant, she deeply cares about these animals. One of these animals is a smaller dog. Certainly it'll grow. But she's also said that, they're outgrowing the space as well and have thought about moving in the future as well. So my personal opinion is, without having a set reason that we need to stick to a certain amount of space that's required, that we approve it. There's been numerous complaints about odor there that the police department has investigated and not found to be, they haven't found a violation. So I don't think we should be punishing this family when there haven't been founded violations. And all these parties were in the room during the planning commission and I voted to deny it. And I'm basing this change based off of the fact that we don't have science saying that the dog needs this much space and we're required to provide that. So that's why I would not support the.
Not support the denial, okay. Lisa?
So, no, my question is, so say, this is passed and applicant gets the license. Is there any determination where, how would that license be revoked? If like chief had complaints and they went out and they weren't meeting, how does that work?
I understand from the ordinances, they have to reapply every single year for this license.
Yes.
So like, if they did on an annual basis, like if they were told yes tonight, they could be told no next year. Because every year they have to reapply. So like, they don't get it for the life of the dog now, like every year is a new application. If I'm reading the ordinance.
That is correct. They do have to reapply. We do have one other license and I don't believe that they are inspected annually. So
My question, I guess, would be what happens in say 6 months? You know, that the neighbors are having issues or concerns. Where would they go then? This is gonna be going back to Clips, so do they come to Clips and speak then?
Clips would be the most appropriate, but we would just have to look what would be the steps if it was a revocation of a license.
So the neighbor currently expressed tonight that they are having concerns. Now, the applicant talked at first and said that they are willing, or did I hear not, that they are willing to change their fencing? Or add more fencing or move the fencing away from the neighbors? Can that happen?
Add to it is what they suggested.
Oh, add to it. But if the fence is on the property line and it's, however it's gravitating over somehow, or even the smell, can it be moved away from that property line?
But I don't think we should be telling them what to do with their property.
I'm just
But I
trying
would
to
say that if.
find a solution. That's all.
I
I'm
would
trying to
say
find.
if the neighbor has actual concerns and there's violations, they should report those to the police. And if the police find them, they should be enforcing them.
Okay.
So the current violations section says license holders will be allowed 10 days following written notification of any violations of this subsection or any subsection of this chapter by the humane officer or their designee to correct any violations. Failure to correct those violations shall result in immediate revocation of the license by the village board.
And currently without a fence, your license, how many dogs are allowed? Three?
You have 4 pets, 3 of one kind.
So 3 cats and 1 dog? Or just the opposite? Okay, all right. Any more
That's
discussion?
still with the board, right? So if they had a violation, it would still have to come to the next available board meeting because the board would revoke it. Okay.
I guess that was what, I just wanna make sure that if this were to pass, then neighbors have a way to express their concerns. And
No, a lot.
Is this a fiscal year permit? Like license?
Calendar year.
Calendar year?
So basically, if they get approved tonight, they only have to December, right?
December 31st, yeah.
So in essence, it'd be like a 5 or 6 month opportunity to see if it
Or
works.
a complaint.
Yeah, if it's the next 5 or 6 months, it works poorly or there's issues, then we'd have to be looking at this again in December for 27, correct? So in essence, tonight's approval would only be a little under half a year, not the whole license.
But with the start being with the police department, then we would ask the police department if they got a violation, given there's a license issued, that they would communicate that with us once the violation was issued.
So in the new code that just got approved tonight, unresolved violations shall require review by the CLIPS committee and approval by the village board. So
And chief attends Clips, so if a violation did occur, he could let us know.
Are all these dogs licensed currently?
Yes, well, I haven't issued the licenses, but she's paid for them all and she's provided all the rabies vaccination information.
Sure. License 4th dog.
Pardon me?
So she couldn't license.
Yes, she couldn't license 4 dogs, so
Three are licensed?
I haven't issued the licenses. I guess I haven't because I
Were
was.
3 issued 4 months ago? If they had 3 dogs there, were they not licensed?
They were late.
Late, like in ever late?
Licensing after March 31st.
Okay, so were they licensed last
I don't believe so. I don't recall that.
year? Okay.
I had one thing.
Hmm.
So apparently this property is in a property dispute. The owners here that have this, and the fence is also in a dispute. I would just recommend if you approve this, that the certified survey is updated on it so they know where the survey lines are on this piece of property. That was one of the complaints from the other person that's a neighbor here, and you have an ongoing property dispute that's taken place here, and this is an opportunity for us to at least verify where the property lot lines are and where this fence is and who thinks they own what part of the property. And
Well, and trustee Lopes Farrell said that it seems like every property is off. Could this be because of the road? Was there a road put in?
I think what he's looking at
I'd say
is,
if you're looking at the lines on the
But
GIS.
But a
map,
road could do that. A road could not.
it could, but I'm also saying like, you can't just go based off of a GIS
Right,
map
right,
because
right.
it's not.
There's some distortion on there, so that, yeah, they don't exactly match up, but there are some issues over
because
here.
Roman?
It's most likely the lines, depend on where the airplane took the pictures from. When it did the aerial flyover.
Okay.
So we do get, depending on, it's worse in some parts of the village than others.
Okay.
Right, so.
IT?
I think we're starting this and setting it up for failure. And if we don't have at least a property line verification on this piece of property, you've already got complaints that are going to start coming in, and this is going to come right back to Clips again because you already have an ongoing property dispute. So I think if you approve this, and I just use caution to the board when you're approving these, we set the 3-dog limit for a reason. And if everybody can just get a fancier permit, then why don't we just approve 4 dogs for everybody and don't even worry about this? But the point is space does have an issue with that. You just can't, that's why you can't have them in a multi-family house and have 4 dogs in there. But I'm just raising a point when you're in a residential area. I just raise caution on how many animals are on that piece of property.
Mark, I'm sorry.
I just want to say I totally respect that. Obviously, working in public safety, that's a huge concern of my own. This is someone who spoke about the fact that they're training these dogs for dog sledding. So I think it goes outside of the bounds of somebody who just wants 4 dogs. It's somebody who's holding 4 dogs for a specific purpose, and that purpose requires a lot of dogs because that's what dog sledding is. So I think it meets that qualification of an animal fancier other than a person just wanting a lot of dogs. I recognize that there's an ongoing property dispute, but I think that's between them to figure out however they figure out whether they need to hire somebody themselves and stuff. I just, yeah, anyway.
I have a question and a quick thought. So is it the garage that is over the property line or the fence? I thought I heard garage. Is it the garage?
That's what I wrote down.
The neighbor thinks that the garage and the.
Okay, so
The garage has to be 6 feet according to ordinance. It has to be 6 feet away from the property line.
yeah, and I understand. I just want to make sure I understood this, but the garage being over the property line would have nothing to do with the dogs. So I guess I just want to verify that.
It's connected to the fence.
That's fine. So, I mean, I guess I look at it this way, is we have this whole ordinance, we only have 1 license. I mean, I'm sitting here reading it right now, and there's a number of rules on there that they have to follow. They can be inspected, anytime between 8A and 8P with a 2 days notice. CC's gotta be picked up every single day. You know, I think it's on them to show us if they can handle it and be responsible with it in the next 5 months, because short of, I would say, a perfect record, I don't see this board even considering issuing it. That's my opinion, but.
Okay, Mark, yeah. Yep. Depending on when the accessory structure was constructed, the setback may not have been 6 feet at that point in time. So that's our current setback. If it was constructed today, then it would need to be 6 feet back. It would have to look back historically on when the structure was constructed and what the code was at that point in time.
I would just also add, because we get the question a lot, The village does not have a surveyor, so we cannot survey the property. That would totally be the responsibility of the property owners to contact a surveyor and have that done, and it would be of their cost. Because we do not have that ability to do that.
Any more discussion?
Well, I guess I just look at it and the size of the lot, and I know we don't have any regulations to it. But I wouldn't, I love dogs, but I wouldn't want 4 big ones right next to my yard.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor.
Will you repeat the motion again?
The motion is to
Uphold.
uphold the planning commission's recommendation of denial. Okay. And this would be all 5 has to be unanimous.
No, that's a zoning.
Oh, zoning, correct, right,
That's
right,
just
zoning,
for zoning.
so just a simple majority, correct? Yes. Okay, so all those in favor of upholding the planning commission's recommendation of denial, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No.
I just want to know who said what.
Okay, so it's
Aye.
aye,
Was an aye.
aye,
It's 3 ayes and 2
No, no.
noes. Okay, thank you.
okay. So motion was approved to uphold the planning commission's denial. All right, 45, discussion and or action on request from Lamar to purchase a perpetual easement over and on the village-owned real estate at 8702 Progress Way. There was an awful lot in there.
Yeah.
And
That was a mouthful.
I gotta tell you, I'm just gonna say this, whether I should or shouldn't. I got a real bad taste on anything advertising, anything cell tower, anything that a private entity, profit that wants from a village. And currently, I think, what are we up, we're at $217,000 over the course of this contract that we signed in 2015 versus the 180 that they're offering us. And I'm gonna tell you, the red flags in that memo that person from Marshfield sent, my God, that's like my every other day Spectrum phone call. That is, I can't believe somebody at Lamar actually wrote that letter. I mean, it's prudent that you sign this today. It's prudent that this offer will go away. We only have so much money. This was incredible that somebody actually wrote us a letter like that from a very, recognized company. I was just shocked that I don't know who they thought that was going to, but I was shocked. I simply on the way the letter was written and how thoughtless they think we are, I would say no, but it doesn't make up the money for our current contractor. So anyway, anybody else have any more thoughts? You know what? We need to get this on the floor. I'm sorry. I wrecked my own rule. I need a motion to get this on the floor, please. Sorry.
I'll move to deny the request to allow them to purchase the easement over and on the village-owned real estate at 8702 Progress Way.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Olson to deny Lamar's request for the perpetual easement on our village-owned property, 8702 Progress Way. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ermeling. On the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead of myself there. I couldn't help. 46, discussion and there's no appointments tonight. 47, discussion and or action on allocation of Everest Metro Police Department and Municipal Court Fund balance. I believe we talked about that earlier, and this was to take that fund balance and put that towards the loan that we're looking at and only borrow $4 million.
I make
Not
a-
only,
I
but to
make,
borrow $4 million.
I make a motion to use the one-time funds from EMPD and municipal court of $362,354.31 towards the MPP headquarters construction, reducing the overall borrowing amount for the village of Weston.
Motion by Ermeling. Second by Olson. Any more on the question? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Discussion and or action on employee appreciation, including a standing monthly staff recognition agenda item.
If I may, Mark, I would suggest we maybe push this to the next meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Discuss this with our meeting, and we're gonna get some feedback from staff via the staff
Okay.
meeting, and then go from there. So if that works for everybody, I think we pulled off until next month.
Thank you. 49, discussion and or action on the Community Development Authority's role and responsibilities going forward.
Following the closure of the TIF, it's just a point of conversation. That was one of the main focuses of the CDA was that the debt that the TIF took. It's my understanding that the CDA toured several of the businesses then within the TIF during that time frame. Now that we've called the loan, the committee could have other purposes within the bounds of what's outlined in statute.
But for the most part, this TIF two does not require anything more from. Because there's no more debt.
Can we just dissolve
Well,
the committee?
Yes.
I certainly could, but I mean, you take it out of ordinance and we did adopt a resolution in the ordinance when we put it into place. So it's also one of those things, understanding that you want to keep the committee members engaged, otherwise it's hard to keep committee members there. But, you know, we've talked a lot about housing. Are there housing projects or things that you would like them to focus on? Are there tours of housing that you would like them to take and talk about with the board, what that housing could look like here? That would be it.
Would an idea be to, once we have better direction of the comp plan and know where kind of the village is heading, and then determine what the CDA should be kind of geared towards? Like, would that give us some direction? We're looking at A, B, and C, and then the committee could help with that? I mean, that would be another thought.
Yes, I mean, because there's a piece of that's development that comes through the comp plan.
What are you referring to when you say housing?
It could mean any sort of thing. It could mean, how do we incorporate the new TIF law that revolves around housing into Weston? Is that a fit for here that we would want to explore?
Okay.
It could mean, you know, how do we attract more employee housing and what does that look like? Could be, how do we attract more senior housing? How do we attract more long-term care housing?
Okay.
And you're right, a piece of that would come through the comp plan if those are things that are goals for the village.
Would the board or that committee look at, because I know there have been people that have suggested at some point that we may look at another TIF district to promote certain areas. Would that be something they would be looking at, or?
It could be a potential, it certainly is something that maybe, you know, a big piece of starting a TIF is the plan, right? So
Right.
it could help with putting together what does that plan look like for the district. Whether or not that would involve, again, they were a piece of it because of the debt, whether or not that would involve debt would remain to be seen. With the new housing TIF law, you can't accrue debt.
Right.
You have to pay as you go. So that it would remain to be seen.
Does staff feel, I guess, what do you envision as uses for them or things that we could do with them, or ultimately you guys are probably with the board coming up with things that they could help us with. So I guess, what do you have a strong feeling either way? Do you think?
I mean,
Look at everybody else.
I was gonna say, I think now I could be wrong. Was it the last time they met was 2020?
So it's been a long time anyway.
You know, and before that, they met just because there was, you know, some,
Like 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
you
Do
know,
we still have a committee? I mean, we have them in name, but.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
yeah.
So like if we needed.
Everybody showed but one.
5 of the 7 show.
Oh, 5, okay.
Okay.
I think the last time they were involved, they may have been involved in the Weston Avenue. They were involved in some of the corridor planning
Yes.
and approved some of it just because I think the TIF was there. So they may have been, because I remember them meeting, there was a joint meeting and it was during COVID at Weston Lanes. So that was probably the last time. So they were involved in some of the planning efforts.
I almost would say to table this until we have more of the comp plan going, and then decide if we need them to take direction of something. And if we find out we don't, then I know there are people on there that I have talked to that would take maybe other positions, because I talked to 1 or 2 already, so.
She's a 2, yeah. All right, so that's our course? Are we good? Okay. So table or just move along until we need to talk about it again. 50, discussion interaction on aquatic center operational and capital costs and possible future municipal community partnerships.
It's pretty much discussion there.
Sure, well, I don't think we're gonna have any action on this tonight. Would you agree?
The one piece I just wanna see if we have a comfort level around is, and I noted it in the RFC, that the school district, when they came and talked, they said the next big piece of this timeline is they're putting out a community survey. I know they already did some internal surveys, and with the community survey, there'll be some additional internal surveying that they do. But, would the board be okay with that survey question indicating that municipal partnerships might be an option when they're also looking forward to the future of what that pool would look like? We're already talking about that with Rothschild and the potential of maybe doing something jointly with them. But would we also consider that as part of school district or other entities within the community? I don't know what that looks like right now.
Well, I had some people that said, oh, gee, can't we, they should build one that you can, I think, remove the walls so it's an outdoor and indoor or whatever, that, we could all go there instead of.
Use it 24, all year round, like garage
Right.
doors or something. So, did I hear, I'm sorry, I've never been in our pool, okay?
Oh,
So, in talking about the WPS tonight, so if this is gonna be the craziest question, we heat our pool? Okay. How fun is that? I loved it as a kid jumping in a cold water. In Herb Park in Appleton, it was never heated. There's no way. Do we have to heat it?
oh,
You jump in a lake.
There would be nobody there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, oh.
Do you understand what our groundwater temperature is?
No, well, do you understand Lake Superior? I've been in that 10 times. And it's incredible.
For 7 hours a day?
Well, 7 hours, I didn't come out a prune, that's for sure. Yeah. Wow. Warm water.
oh, geez, I go to the Y and if
The
there's
outdoor
a
pool in
swimming.
the area.
Well, the Y is different. That's indoor. Yeah.
Circling back to Jimmy's question.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Does it hurt to ask the question? Do we lose anything by asking a survey question?
No, no, not at all.
The outside pool for the outside.
Yeah, everybody's just saying this, we're making decisions, does it hurt anything?
No, not at all. We partner with Everest, it's gonna be inside. If
With a
that somehow
possible-
works and then what we go with, and which I've heard bantered around, is we have a what do you call those? I don't wanna say it the way I say it.
Splash pad.
A splash pad, sorry. So I call it something else, but anyway.
I guess that's a follow-up question. Do we have strong feelings on that it's only outdoor or that it's indoor? If it was only indoor, does that change our feelings on partnership?
I think people go to the pool because it's outside and they can
Right.
jump in and go down the slides and.
But do we need to be Noah's Ark? Do we need to be
No,
Wisconsin
correct.
Dells? What's wrong with a rectangle? What's wrong with just cooling off? Why do we have to have all these slides? When's the next slide? Yeah, that's a whole nother lifeguard up there.
I've got another layer, so looking at the numbers, first of all, whoever from staff pulled those revenue expenses numbers, thank you. There was a public comment during finance meeting that, they don't break down where that revenue comes from, the different sources, which fair point. But if we take the numbers just at face value for a moment, I'm surprisingly gonna say pool doesn't lose as much money as I was led to believe. I think most years we're pretty close, which it's a service, you're not always gonna make money, but we're also not losing drastic amounts. My bigger concern as I'm looking at the numbers though, is that pool's getting older and older and older, and we're gonna start to see a bigger deficit between the revenue and the expense.
What are we losing?
Well, in 2025, there was 229,000 in revenue, 252 in expense.
But 40,000 came from tourism.
Yeah.
And then we also put
another
another 40,000 in.
Yeah.
So every one of those years, we're putting in 80,000.
Well, that's what I said,
Yeah.
without looking at just what the sources of revenue are, it's permanent, just looking at the revenue versus expenses. There's not as much disparity there as I would have expected, but as we're getting, obviously, on and on in years, definitely gonna get a bigger disparity because of all the repairs that are gonna be needed and.
Well, I think it would help too if we partnered with Schofield and Rothschild, which is how the pool was originally proposed.
I think that's how you make things like this affordable, is you have to put it,
Right.
because not a single one of us is, we don't want $100,000 repairs all the time, so like, if we can offset those and split those and improve it.
So not heating it, nobody shows up. Where's the point of, you know, how much for a ticket? You know, a yearly pass. How much is a yearly pass right now?
It varies, depends on if you're doing individual, family, Weston only, joint pass. We did increase our daily price this year. We increased season pass price this year. And, we both have looked at the numbers and, I mean, things look favorable. And I mean, Jess would probably say, well, it was due to, you know, some price increases that we did prior to the season this year. Because we hadn't raised prices for, I'd have to look back to exact year when we had changed prices last time, but for having a cold June with lots of closures, our numbers are looking good right now, but you have to look at year end because we'll have utility bills and everything else. And we still have revenues coming in. So we won't have the real picture till the end of the year. But for now, things look good.
If I pull up with a carload of 3 kids, how much is it gonna cost me?
$7 a person.
$7 per, how long do I get to swim?
Anytime between 11 and 7, you can stay the whole time if you want.
Okay. And then a season pass for a Weston.
Season pass family, Weston 170.
Is that the number of the family or just the entire?
That's up to 5.
And you raised it this last year? Any complaints?
We looked at, sorry.
No, go ahead.
We looked at comps,
Yeah.
comps from numerous communities around our region so that we were competitive, but also not like, we were staying in line.
When was the last like feasibility study looking at like future, what is this gonna cost us? For the pool, because it is like, it is getting older.
There was a link shared for the
Okay.
facility assessment that was completed in 2016.
Would it behoove us to do that again?
That's actually listed in our budget priorities discussion for tonight. It was.
Just because I know you mentioned it's not as bad as you thought, but when you look at over the course of time, we have to keep giving the pool a helping hand. We want it for the community, but when you add up all those numbers, that's a lot of money over a course of time.
But you also have to understand that like redoing the pool service in 2021 was the first time since 1999. It's not a reoccurring expense. Like it might happen again in another 10 to 15 years. So, you know, the pool service was done in 2021 for the first time. Pool's been open since 1999. So that $140,000 we spent that year is not going to happen again for another 15, 20 years. So you can say expenses are going up because of the repairs, but that was a repair that was done and now it'll last another 20 years.
Right, but it's like a car, that might be repaired, but something else is gonna break, something, I just wanna see.
Yeah, and that's what we've been doing is doing those necessary repairs and upgrades so the expense is not constant, you know? If you look at the facility evaluation, and we didn't really talk about it, but Jamie did mention in the RFC that if you want to know what we've accomplished in there, I mean, we marked off almost everything except for 2 of the items that were on that recommendation list in 2016. And one of them has just been put on hold just due to the issues we started having in 2021. Because those expenses were not expected, obviously.
Okay. All right.
I'll just say that I want us to continue with the aquatic center. I want to see us see what opportunities exist with Rothschild and Schofield as they make decisions about the future of their pool and how those communities can become part of our pool community. I'm certainly fine with us asking the question and learning about what partnership with the school could look like, but I'm not necessarily supportive of the pool with the school district. Can we ask the question? Can we learn? I think we always
agree.
can, but
I agree.
We agree with what we said. 100%. Stand for that.
Okay. No action needed?
As long as that's the consensus, we're good with that.
Right? Okay, moving on. 51, discussion and interaction on drafting a policy for the receipt and handling of written comments received at public meetings.
Okay, I asked to have this put on.
Mhm.
Every committee has a different procedure as far as when we get comments either by mail or dropped off and they can't be here, or all the different things, and every committee does it different. And I guess I lean towards the fact if somebody took the time to write a letter to a committee to state something and they can't make it, personally, I think we should read it. I don't think needs to be a 6-page letter. We have to keep it within a reasonable amount. If we can read it in 3 minutes, I guess is kind of what I get at. Just to take it and put it on file and not actually read it out. So the people in the audience and those that are watching, they have to go back and look to see what it was. And that's just my opinion. And that's, the last time I went by, I let the committee decide, but, and they decided to just put it on file. But I just think if the residents are interested enough to write us a letter or something of that nature, I agree if it was brought in after comments, that is not, when you would put it in again. But I think if we have it for the meeting, it should be read in record. That's my.
Anybody else? Wish?
Yeah, this kind of came up because of, we had a written correspondence that was given to us kind of like after the meeting, and we were trying to decide like, how does that get introduced? And we were in the middle of a transition with the committee, so it created probably some inconsistency in how we were all doing it. I agree that those public comments are just as important as the ones that are spoken at that table, that we need to hear them. We need to respect that information the same. I personally am not in favor of reading the comments because a person can write whatever they want. And you're putting those things into our mouths that we may or may not agree with, which is fine for us not to agree with it, but now it's coming out of my mouth. And I just don't think that it's the point of a public comment, while certainly is to share. I think the point of the public comment is to share with us their feelings on something. And we're getting that when it's introduced to us, it's in our packet, we're able to print it and read it. So I think it's achieving that function of us reading it and understanding it. I think it's important that we get it as far ahead of time as possible, so we have time to read it and understand it when we're making decisions. But I don't support having to be expected to read somebody's words that they, like, how do I decide what's reasonable and unreasonable when I'm reading a comment? A person can write whatever they want. And I don't want to sit there and be like, this is some crazy stuff, I don't want to read this. Those are their words. They absolutely can come here and they can speak them themselves. They can log into a Zoom and speak them themselves. But I don't think I should be expected to read them because I'm the chairperson.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I also think too, like, we can't limit the length. I mean, within reason, what's within reason? If you go over 1,000 words, well, we're not gonna read it out loud, but if you stay at 999, we will, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's for us to consider. And we provide multiple avenues for people to do that. They can write it to us. They can come here and tell us. They can log on Zoom and they can tell us. I think it's all about involvement and providing opportunities to do it in multiple different formats. But I don't think, even as a prudent necessary use of the public's time, to sit and read to them everything that they could read for themselves. But also to think about some of these big issues that a lot of municipalities are dealing with right now. If somebody writes in 100 letters, are you going to read 100 letters out to the group? Because if you make that rule, we can't say, well, there's too many on this one. That's not doing that, right? We're gonna read them out. I think we're committing to reading out every single one that comes in for every single issue going forward if we're gonna make a policy out of it. I think it's different to say, I will commit as a board member to reading it, because you wrote it. I wanna know your feedback, but it's different than reading it out loud to everybody else.
Lisa?
I wrote down exactly what Barb said. If residents took the time to write a comment, we should read it. I don't I don't think there's anything wrong though with coming up with a draft policy saying if they write in and they would like it read at the meeting, it has to be within so many words, or here's the form, or keep it short, because they do have the option to call us. They have the option to come in. So I'm glad that they're writing it in, but it has to be filled out within this avenue. I guess
Yeah, one
that's what I would
page
say, is
or
it
whatever.
should be read, but it would have to be contained a little bit more.
So I'll weigh in too is that, if they can't personally come here and read it, it won't get read. I will not read it, period. I won't read a good one and I won't read a bad one, period. It's not my words, as others have said here tonight. I'll have it submitted. It'll be in the packet. It'll be for public. It'll be transparent. But I don't believe any committee, any commission, or this board should read someone else's words, period. This is not going to get better. It's going to get worse. When someone wants to be mean and be a bully and embellish, then that's the way they're going to do it. There's a certain community person here that does it all the time and doesn't show up to read their letter. But they expect us to read their letter, and I don't agree. So that's where I'm going to be on this issue. And if we want to make it a policy, that's fine. But then I believe every committee, every commission, and the board has to follow it.
Right, well, that was the whole thing. It wasn't even that I was set that it had to be read or you just placed on file or whatever. But I think we need a policy because everybody should be following the same policy.
And we have something already that if 8 people want to talk and 7 of them are going to talk about the same thing.
Right.
We ask them, are you going to add anything more to this conversation, to this discussion? And if it's all the same, even with the park stuff tonight, it kind of got a little duplication there, but they were a little different. But I mean, if 8 or 9, or like somebody said 50, my gosh, we can't be sitting here till 2 in the morning. So when it's all on the same topic. So that's where I'm going to come in there. So if somebody wants to, so if it's written in, they take the time, but they can't show up to read it, then it gets put into the record. And we can all read it. It's going to be in the packet. You can reference it as a taxpayer and you'll see what was written. And you can, there's no restrictions there. Unless it's profane.
If that's what you're saying, like use my policy saying simply just that, I would support a policy.
Well, yes, I want a policy, so we are all following the same, that you aren't I'm not reading it and you're not. Or, just let's have a policy so that we are all following the same thing.
It'll be received, it'll be distributed to all the committee board members, they will all read it, consider your feedback, but that's as far as it will go.
Right.
Well, and it'll be included in the record.
Yes.
Right.
And I think that's important. Like, I don't care if somebody criticizes me. That's totally fine. That's their right to do so. But I just shouldn't be expected to read somebody's words and portray them like, I just don't agree
Like
with
you're
that.
condoning it.
And
It's almost like you're condoning it, like you're yesing it.
And we've been inconsistent with that in the past because we have read positive things and we've ignored some negative things. So we do need to be consistent with it. And I agree, like if there's something that's positive and totally something we're like, yeah, we like this, we don't read that either because it's somebody else's words. So we can share like, hey, we received some correspondence about this project. It's included in the packet. Cool. But from my perspective, I don't want to read it.
You could state who you got it from and possibly the subject, and then just place it on file.
Anybody care to make a motion on this?
Well, Barb, do you want to make the motion describing what you were talking about?
Well, I guess I just wanted it to be a consistent. That was,
I'll make a motion to create a policy that says that any committee or commission that receives written communication will be provided to each of the members of the committee commission, reviewed by that member, and placed on file with the minutes from that committee or commission meeting. That was probably way too many words for what I wanted to say, but that makes sense, Jay. The look on your face was Yeah, I'm way off. Okay, so just making it simple, making it direct, everybody
Do,
knows.
do we want to say the name of the person and the subject or not?
Well, sure, that, it'll be, their name will be on there.
Well, I know, but I
Oh,
mean,
here-
read
here at
that,
this level?
read that, read it in.
Acknowledge like, hey, we received an email
Received
from
a re-
Barb, we received a letter
right.
from Mark. so people know
Right,
what's there.
supporting or not even supporting,
Just regarding,
regarding,
just
regarding
that's it.
the pool or
Okay,
something.
I will add that to my motion.
Okay,
And then not read out loud unless
No.
they're here.
right.
And then they read it themselves.
And they
Yeah.
read it themselves.
Got it.
So then will this get written
Second.
out?
I would-
and
I would
then
make a
come
second.
back The next month?
Okay, we have a motion and
I
a
seconded
second.
it.
Okay.
Okay, so then, okay, motion and second. So then this would be written out and then next month we would review the written policy.
A draft, yes.
And then you could yay or nay it, the policy as written.
Yes, yes. Again, I think sometimes the hard part of the policy will be the nuances. So the example, you don't get the written comment until after the meeting.
Well, that's,
But it should be included as
In that-
public comment for,
Is it included
next
for
meeting.
the next?
Yeah.
meeting? Okay,
because it
And
wasn't.
if it came in
received.
early enough, then
Yeah.
it can be that.
It's
critical.
not,
Yeah.
it's not public comment for that meeting if we didn't get it by the
Early,
time of
yeah.
that meeting. So it just be, even though it's about that meeting, it's just becomes public comment for the
if
next.
you don't get it at comment time,
Do we want, so when does the agenda go on, Wednesday, Thursday?
Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So and that could be put into the
Yeah, that
policy.
could be in
If
there
it's
too.
not, then it's not in the packet. If it's received at the meeting, it's put into the next
Following.
month's
Okay.
packet. If it's
Alright.
not received till after the
So-
meeting, it goes to the next
I'll
one.
also add that to my motion.
So hearing no more discussion.
No, I just want to say, and sorry, Mark, but we have, public comment is extremely important.
Yes, I agree.
I want to hear it. I want it to be heard. This isn't about limiting public comment. We could limit public comment by saying we're not accepting comments by Zoom anymore or anything like that.
We're not.
We're not doing that. I don't want that. I just think this is about how it gets received and portrayed. So, thank you.
Hearing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 52, discussion and interaction on request for a letter of support for the Greater Wausau Prosperity Partnerships GWPP Destination GEM grant application from the Wisconsin Department of Tourism for Ride Wisconsin Gravel.
I move approval of the letter of support.
We have a motion by Lopes Ferrero,
second.
second by Ermling on the question. Why was the top of that letter redacted?
Just because of he asked several people within the community for letters of support, and so there was some personal emails on top of there. They weren't all municipal individuals.
Okay, and we have approved this in the past.
We have approved other letters of support for the GWPP. I don't know if we wrote one on their year one gem.
It has me listed that I approved it.
You signed the letter on behalf of the entire board, yes.
All right. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. There's a lot of gravel roads to travel. 53, discussion and interaction on contract for final TIF 1 audit. What's your pleasure?
I'm going to approve the village board, approve the audit contract with Hawkins Hash, the final audit, if number 1.
Motion by Olson,
Second.
second by Ermling. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 54, discussion and interaction on bank proposals for the village's portion of the new police headquarters.
So with the timing of the new building, we decided to go out for a bank RFP. So we emailed our local banks. We got 3 back. I asked for a 10 and a 20-year. You can see the rate differences. Abby actually did, so both Abby and Peoples did not have a fixed rate for the 20 years. So that's why there's nothing there for them. Community One, known as Intercity, gave a 5% for the 20-year. Total interest was 2.5 million. And then you can see the rates for the 10-year. So what I was following up with is because we closed the TIF this year, we have some rate capacity. So in my preliminary calculations, we're looking at a rate decrease around 90 cents. That's pretty significant. It would have been more had the prior year adjustment not been last year. So last year we saw a significant reduction because of the TIF prior year adjustment. And this year we'll see a decrease because of the TIF closure. So with that 90 cents, I thought with the the support we're getting from the community for this new police building, why don't we save ourselves some money and pay it off in 10 years? So I got two different rates on the 4.69 and the 5. So I'm bringing this proposal to you with a suggestion to go for the 10, but I understand if you want to pay it over 20. The cost difference for a 20-year loan, we're looking at a 0.178 cent increase in the tax rate. And then for the 10-year loan, a 0.274 increase in the tax rate, both obviously with a possible 90-cent decrease, which it's preliminary. I don't have all the numbers. It is preliminary, but I think that will just keep our tax rate up a little bit with not such a significant drop.
Also be, what, did I read that right? An additional $1 million in interest from 10 to 20 years?
Yeah. 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
1.5.
so it's a significant savings.
So, yeah.
So that's what I
It's
came with you.
$100,000 a year. It's 100 and, what, 102, whatever, and some change a year, yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't such a significant tax decrease, I probably wouldn't be suggesting it, but I think to normalize the tax rate a little bit, it wouldn't hurt to get the loan paid off, so.
Sorry, Jessica, what were those two numbers again that you said? I just didn't get.
Preliminarily?
Yes,
Okay.
preliminary.
Thank you. 0.178 for the 20-year and 0.274. And these I used inner cities, obviously with the lowest rate for the 10 and the only rate for the 20.
But they were lower on the 10 from the other two also.
The lower.
Inner city was lower on.
Yes, if
10.
you look up on the screen, it's
Yep.
4.69 to 5. Yeah. So the rate I gave you is for the full first year, with the interest going down. It's not the same dollar amount we're paying every year. So that would be the first year. So for 2027, that would be the 326,605 would be your payment for 2027 for a 20-year, and for a 10-year, 503,479 would be your payment in 2027. With this, we're still looking at possibly paying off more of this debt. We'll have to see when our TIF closes, do we want to use some of the funds to just knock this loan out? It's something that we'll have to really look at and consider to see.
And although we don't have issuance costs, we'll have some bond counsel costs.
Yeah.
Which we don't have a number for that, but there will be some additional bond counsel costs.
$5 million is a lot of money to pay it off.
Is that a motion?
Sure, I move that we go for a 10-year loan with Community One Inner City State Bank for the financing for the $4 million from the headquarters.
Motion by Olson. Second by?
I'll second it.
Second by Ermeling. Hearing no more discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Yippee-yi-yay. Any attorney referral? Any attorney referrals? Any administrative referrals? When's that cookout next week? Oh, that's a referral. Sorry. Remarks from trustees. Louise, I jumped. Sorry.
All I would say is, election went off, really nice. I brought my son to vote for the first time, and he thought it was a very, smooth, like he had this whole thing built up in his mind about how scary it would be to vote. He's like, everybody was super nice. And I told the gals like, hey, this is his first time, and they took the time to explain to him what a partisan primary was. So, I just think you guys, 18.
Oh, how old?
He just turned 18.
Oh, 18.
So,
Okay, so sticker didn't matter.
no,
Okay, all right.
so I just want to say, from the volunteers to the staff, everybody did a great job, and it just makes it a not stressful experience.
Very good.
Sounds good. Thanks to the citizens that showed up tonight. We had quite a few, especially to the some that are still sitting here after 2.5+ hours. So thank you for sticking with it. Like Luis said, it's so important to hear from these folks.
I agree. Lisa?
I would just like to say, I love that when we have this discussion. Not everybody is always gonna agree, but I think
That's okay.
that's
Yeah.
how you improve
I
the
agree.
village. When
I
you
agree.
come up with new ideas or different ways of saying, Barb thinks one thing, Louise thinks something else. So I like this variety of ideas. I think that's really how you move the village forward.
I agree. Good stuff.
We're here for 2 hours and 40
Yeah,
minutes.
it is
yeah.
what it is.
Hey, it's not 9 o'clock yet.
No,
Barb?
no.
Well, actually, this is for the chief,
Which one?
police chief, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
All right.
I guess I was looking and I never could find it. We purchased the new lot for the new police department for 384,000. You had another payment of 250. These are approximate, I think I got them correct, and then there was something from Bolt. There was $172,000 contract, but you were gonna pay him something out of your budget until the bids went out. I think it was Bolt. You can give this to me, in whatever.
Question, is it paid for?
It was to pay something until the bid amount came out.
If I'm allowed to answer, I'll answer it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So initially, when the land was purchased, that was paid out of the budget. That was the 384. The second one,
Wasn't it 2 lots?
It was
yes,
2 lots.
2 lots, yes.
7.5 acres. We had a contract with Bolt for HTG to do the design of the building. That was paid for out of the PD budget. The current, we had HTG to take the building out for bid and to oversee the building process. I don't remember the dollar amount, 172, 178, somewhere in that neighborhood. We
172.
currently made 2 payments already, which came out of the PD budget.
Okay.
It was discussed at oversight if that would come out of the money that we borrowed for the building and then paid back, or if it would stay out of the PD budget. And that decision is made by oversight on how that money's going to be spent on that. But initially, 2 payments were already paid to HTG for the overseeing and the bid process for the project.
Okay, and I'm sorry here because I read it and I didn't write it down. And then when I tried to find it again, I couldn't find it. There was something about money for the municipal court, 400,000 something.
I don't know what that would be.
It was something with that it was going to be in the new police department and
Okay, the new police department has the municipal court room in there. The oversight board is gonna have to decide the chemical makeup of the municipal court and how that is going to, I'd like to see the oversight board oversee the municipal court. I don't feel that it's right to have, and this is probably an agenda item that probably should come up and will come up. I don't think it's right that the municipal court is being overseen by Rothschild when it's in Mountain Bay Metro Building, which is owned 60% from Weston. So that has to come up on an agenda item on the makeup of that municipal court.
Okay, so
65.
the building or
Sorry,
the
65.
room or whatever you're going to put in the new police department.
It's there already in the plan, yes.
Okay, is there a cost additional to that?
No.
Okay, so like I said, I read something and then I would look back and I could never find where I read
There's
it.
never
I
a
must have been
design
dreaming
cost
that
on
day or
that. The
something.
building was designed to encompass it. But that's something that oversight is gonna have to make a decision on now that the building is in the process of moving
Okay,
forward.
okay, I'm sorry, but
That's right.
yeah, so you're taking it out of the budget, but you're talking 384,000, 250,000 plus the 172,000 or whatever. You had that much left in your budget?
Not in the aspect that you look at it. We reduced purchasing certain things. One was squad cars. If you remember, we went out last year and we got $95,000 in grants for squad cars. So when we
Okay.
bought 2 squad cars last year, that didn't come out of the budget. So we've been nickel and diming the budget per se to pay for things with shortfalls on other things.
Okay,
So
because I was going, well, if you got that
is
extra.
it sustainable the way that it was set up? No, it's not. But we also deferred hiring people, save money so that we kept our staffing level lower than it should have been. And we have some police department members here that would explain that we worked shorter than we should have in some areas to pay for some of this stuff in preparation for the building.
Okay,
Okay.
that's good. That's good. It's really supposed to be remarks.
Right,
So
right.
it's not agenda, but if you want to take anything else off, and talk to the chief.
But you can come in at any time.
Yep.
Well, I had
Conversation.
called and then we played phone tag, so.
If I missed a message, I'm sorry, but you can come in at any time and just like anybody can come in and have a conversation.
I don't have many remarks, but I concur with Lisa. A good, healthy discussion. And if I'm being a jerk or something, somebody just call me out on it. So I'm fine with that. So. But yep, great group of people here tonight. A lot of comments, a lot of discussion. So that's how it should be. Thank you, everybody, and looking for future meeting. We have a Monday night, August 24th coming up. Joint Finance Human Resource Board of Trustees Budget Workshop at 10:30. Monday, September 8th, 2026, Joint Finance Human Resource Board of Trustees Workshop at 6 p.m. And Monday, September 21st, Joint Finance Human Resource Board of Trustees Budget Workshop at 5 p.m. Motion to adjourn is in order. So moved by Olson, second by Beck. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Adjourned at 8:45. Thank you, everybody.